This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It's Monday, April 5th. I'm Tori here with Lindsay and Al.
I'm going to remove this mirror.
Thank you.
I got to get it together. and I'm going to remove this mask, okay?
And you're
Before we started, I just looked at Lindsay and said mirror, and she was like, I was like, I guess we're going to go with the mirror.
Go with it. We all know
Okay.
Good.
Let's start
and you
the show.
spilled? You're okay?
No, I didn't spill. I'll save the day with the coffee situation.
That's what happens behind the scenes here. All right. It's the start of week 2, of course, of the Derrick Chauvin trial, and we've got some big testimony today. Minneapolis Police Chief Madeira Arredondo, the chief who fired Derrick Chauvin for his actions, is taking the stand for the prosecution. He's expected to testify about police training and tactics, saying that what Chauvin did was not proper protocol or necessary. Now, part of the reason this is such a big deal is that typically police officers do not speak out against another member of law enforcement. But now we have a police chief testifying against his own officer, and he fired this officer as well. What do you guys think about this testimony? I've been really interested to see what happens here. Al, what do you think?
Well, just talking about breaking the blue line is a big deal.
Explain the blue line for people who don't know.
The blue line is just basically cops don't round on other cops for any reason, even if they're wrong. If they're wrong, we'll handle that internally, but we will not expose you to the public and to public scrutiny. That's why it's so hard to get police records in terms of officers' performance, like in terms of if they've been cited for other things, which Officer Chauvin had been. So, this is hopefully a big step, but also a little step in terms of police reform. There is no other job, Lindsay. No other job. We're just like, you can't talk about. So if I own like a chain of Subways and there's been 3 sexual assaults there, I just decide we're not going to talk about that and no employees talk about that, and that's cool.
Or how about you kill someone?
Could get away with this?
Or how about you kill someone at a Subway and you just are like, no, I protect the sandwich artist.
We're not going to tell you where it happened, why it happened, and what discipline. We'll just handle that. Like, where else would that excuse fly?
Lindsay, what do you think?
No, I think it's damaging testimony for sure, but I think with history shows us that it's really hard for an officer to be charged and then let alone convicted.
Yes.
So I think that a lot of people looked at the past trials as like gut-wrenching trials to see this happen again, and with such damaging testimony, I hope that there is a verdict that we all can look to and say, yes, this is the beginning of reform. But I think we're all standing by to see what happens, because at the same time today, when you're watching the trial live, you're seeing that they keep pushing this drug narrative, and they keep pushing that he died because of the drugs, omitting anything that has to do with Chauvin's knee on his neck.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys a question about just maybe a larger picture question? Why do you think police officers are the only people that, when you talk about reforming their jobs, people have so much pushback? Because here we are in 2021. I would argue that every job that was a job in the 1800s that is still a job now, whether it's a teacher, there are things that have changed. They have reformed. But any talk of just like police reform without you even saying what it is seems to be met with like a wall.
I know there's like a history of unions, especially coming from New York, where the police force is the police union's almost bigger than the police chief and actual force and lawmakers. And so I think that they have those protections. And then on top of that, they feel like they're saving lives and they're putting their lives on the line daily. And then they're constantly being criticized for the mistake that they make. And I don't think that one police officer represents the entire police force or most police in America. But I think if you don't get the bad seed that also kills people out of there, then you're setting the precedent that Black lives don't matter.
It's interesting, right? It's not that they don't do a good job, is that they actually they can kill people with that authority, right? He, in my opinion, Derrick Chauvin did. So it's not just like, you're a bad apple. Like, no, you're poisonous and will kill people at that point. It's a bad orchard, is what Seth Meyer said. I just want to get this in. James Hudson just wrote in. Hey, James, what's going on? Had to take a break from watching the Chauvin trial. It's triggering and bad for my mental health. We totally get you. And we are up here not as just like wooden cardboard cutouts. We're also really, I would think, at least I am, traumatized and triggered. We also want to give you the news and give you what's going on to keep you updated. But just know that's all 3 of us. That's everyone at DBL. That's our studio. That's Chris. That's everyone who works with us. We absolutely see you, James. We hear you. And we appreciate you writing in, because it's not easy. So trust us on that. All right. A lot of you have been talking about this all weekend. MLB, Major League Baseball, announced it's moving the All-Star game out of Georgia after the state passed a restrictive new voting law that critics say will make it harder to vote in the state's urban areas, particularly for Black voters. So over the weekend, the Braves covered up the All-Star patch, on their uniforms. I didn't see it fully. But on the other side, Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp is vowing not to back down after he signed the new law. Here's some of what he said in response to Major League Baseball's decision. Take a look.
Yesterday, Major League Baseball caved to fear and lies from liberal activists. They ignored the facts of our new election integrity law, and they ignored the consequences of their decision on our local community. It means cancel culture and partisan activists are coming for your business. They're coming for your game or event in your hometown. And they're coming to cancel everything from sports to how you make a living.
Some Republicans are even calling for a boycott of baseball. So DBL Nation, we want to know what you think. Baseball is Americans like apple pie. It's what you think of. Do you support MLB's decision to move the game? Yes or no? We want you to go to dblvote.com to weigh in. So now we're okay protesting. It's funny. It's just interesting when Kaepernick kneels and everyone goes crazy for people protesting now that people are comfortable protesting for other reasons. What do you think, Liz?
I think it's so weird how people call cancel culture when it's really consequences for racism, right? You talk about Kaepernick kneeling, the NBA and NFL taking knees because they were protesting against racism. You're talking about like the Confederate flag and people saying they're going to protest NASCAR because they wanted to remove that from some of their imagery, and then they're going to say that's cancel culture by removing that. And now we have the MLB who's saying, hey, don't suppress voters. Don't not allow good people with good organizations that have been helping voters for years have drinks in line. I mean, my parents were in line for an hour and a half. This is the longest they've ever waited in line to vote, and we were in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic
yeah, if you
when
don't
they
know,
still did it.
They're not allowing people to pass out. One of the rules is to pass out water or drinks, and it seems so
Some of them are just silly. They're putting the ballot boxes further away and further between one another. So, you know, where you can get to a ballot box maybe in between work if you can't take off. Now that ballot box might be miles further from where the last one was last year. And I think it's a direct response to how many people turned out in the last election. And we saw there was no proof of voter fraud whatsoever. So really, what is this a reaction to? This is just trying to appease the last administration that was wrong in their claims that this was voter fraud in the last election.
What do you think about this? And what do you think about their right to protest, right? You know, Kemp.
Both parties are in the right. They're fine to not go to a baseball game. Last I checked, that's not illegal. And last I checked, Lindsay, we're in a capitalistic society. You throw the word socialism at anything, and that's a death blow. So we are a country that's very proud of capitalism. But whenever a company exercises that right, we throw our hands up. They are allowed to not associate their product with values that they don't aspire to have attached to their company. Lindsay, you have a company. If you hired a spokesperson and they went out that weekend and got 4 DUIs and took a swing at a cop, if you fired them on Monday, are you canceling them or are you not associating your business with them?
Yeah.
So guys, if you are pro Major League Baseball and you're down with the cancellation, great. If you never see another bat swung at another ball again, high five to you. But you cannot play it on both sides where you're pro-capitalism, but when somebody decides to not associate their business with yours because of capitalism, now you're against that. You can't have that.
You can't have it both ways. All right,
people act like money doesn't actually change things.
Oh,
like
and it changes
MLB
everything.
Deciding on something this big, it's like money actually makes people move. Money makes lawmakers move. This is why we have bills against so much lobbying and how much you can donate to campaigns. Like, money makes lawmakers change their mind.
Yeah, advertisers, when they go from somewhere, it's gone. That's when things change.
The local impact,
yeah.
Hotels, bars. What do you think that impact is just on the city of Atlanta losing those 4 days of just extreme revenue from people throwing money around parking garages, restaurants, everything?
Gone. All right, let's take a look at the poll. We have 68%. Do you support the MLB's decision to pull the All-Star game? 67% of you say yes. 33% of you say no. I have some comments here real quick. The Rick Webster writes, moving the All-Star game from Atlanta does absolutely nothing. I think money, as Lindsay said, does a lot. Rabbi Deeren says, crazy that the MLB doesn't see they're taking income away from people that really need it, much to Al's point, and an all-star game and its activities bring lots of money. That's, I think, the point, though. You got to make the stakes as high as possible. Am I right?
I think if they're associating business owners with being Republicans or being conservative people, I think you have to decide, is it more important for you to not allow people to vote in the capacity that they voted a year ago, a couple months ago, or is it more important to you to keep your business alive? So where do your values fall?
That's so true.
That's right there. You just boiled it down. That's all it is. We could have just ended the segment there, and we should.
And we should. And moving on. All right, we have to give a big DBL shout out to the Stanford women's basketball team. Yes. After 29 years, that's how old I am, Stanford is #1. They won the NCAA tournament after beating Arizona yesterday. Meantime, tonight, the two best teams in men's college basketball are playing for the championship. The Baylor Bears will take on the Gonzaga or
either one.
Either one, Bulldogs, making sure. And check this out. There's some crazy fan footage from the UCLA-Gonzaga game over the weekend. The game ended, and I was watching in a crazy buzzer beater with Gonzaga winning as time ran out, but it left UCLA fans shook. Take a look. It was crazy. So if you don't know, like at 0.3 seconds from half court, Suggs on Gonzaga literally just went in.
I can't believe that you watched the game.
I know, I'm really like, huh?
I know you did, and you know, whether you're a basketball fan or not, I was watching the game too, and I was talking to my uncle about this the next day. There's this weird period when somebody hits like a last-second shot, but there's still a few seconds left, where you forget these players are people. And so that was going to send them to a second overtime, which is very rare. And you could tell one team was kind of jogging back, getting ready, like, oh, we got to play another 5 minutes. But one team was like, we still got 4 seconds left. The guy grabbed the ball, running full court.
What do you call that, a ball and a hook?
No, just a half-court shot, a running half-court shot.
You should have left it at the intro that you did. Was so brilliant.
Yeah, she was doing great. And then we just got a term that associates itself with fishing.
Well, you know, all right, that's awesome. Well, did you watch it all?
Come on, Tori, be serious. But I'm happy to hear good news about women's sports, because for the last couple of weeks we've been reporting some bad news due to other people and their lack of putting the right energy on women's sports. So I'm happy to see this win. This actually makes my day.
One thing really quickly, I'm on a group thread with some of the homies, 2 different parts of the country, both of them simultaneously talking about the women's tournament.
Nice.
That's
Things
awesome.
are changing. Things are changing.
Things are switching, huh? The ball in the hook.
The ball in the hook, baby.
That's it. Coming up on DBL, barriers are broken. How people of color made history at the Screen Actors Guild Awards over the weekend. And later, as hate crimes against Asians increase, one journalist is sharing her personal story of confronting a bully from her past. Stay tuned for that. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
The Verify team is here to make sure you have the facts, because not everything you see online is real. A viewer named Sue sent us this email. I just received an economic impact payment card. Is this real? She wanted us to verify whether these cards are legit. Here are sources: the IRS.
They are legit.
And Henry Grez from the American Institute of CPAs, who says yes, these cards can be trusted.
It should be in an envelope coming from mailed to you, coming from the U.S. Treasury.
Here's exactly what the envelope will look like, according to the IRS. Note the seal for the Department of Treasury, and inside you'll find a card that looks like this. And don't be alarmed by the MetaBank label in the back. This is the Treasury's financial agent, so it's supposed to be there. According to the IRS, the last day to receive payments through direct deposit was March 24th. So now they're only coming through the mail, through either checks or these debit cards.
The card makes it easy to access your money for things like groceries.
These cards can be used online and at stores. You could transfer the money to another account. It could even be cashed out at an ATM. And as for concerns that the government will be able to track your purchases, our expert says this is false.
There's going to be no tracing of what you're buying or how you're spending.
So you don't have to use it responsibly. You could use this money on whatever you want.
That's right.
So we can verify that these debit cards are real, and the IRS says they're safe and secure. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozloff.
Welcome back to DBL. Last night, the Screen Actors Guild Awards were handed out, and like many pandemic award shows, the nominees appeared remotely. But unlike past shows, this one was pre-taped and only 1 hour. Huh?
That's great.
Okay. Still, the SAGs made history, handing out the top film acting awards to people of color. Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman won for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I heard it's phenomenal. And Daniel Kaluuya and Yoo Jung-won in the supporting actors categories. And Catherine O'Hara, my role model, became the 4th actress to sweep all 5 major TV awards in a single season with her win for playing Moira Rose on Schitt's Creek. It's great if you haven't seen it. Anyone?
I'm over Zoom. Like I have forfeited
Zoom.
any Zoom baby showers. I have forfeited Zoom events.
Yeah,
I know
she's
you had a
over
great time with your family, but it's like I'm at the end of my Zoom days. I can't do it anymore. But I am happy that Daniel Kaluuya won because I thought Judas and the Black Messiah was one of the best films I've seen in a long time.
This whole year. I agree with Lindsay. The Zoom with the, excuse me, yay, we're so happy, no interest. I think the viewers aren't watching. I liked last year when we saw this. Remember this, Hal? This is Brad and Jen. The tension, you can feel the love, the attraction.
It's just two people smiling at
No, there's more there, buddy.
You think so?
There's look at that.
This the
He's
hand.
I forgot
her.
about the wrist.
That's the shot. That's the picture.
And if everybody's confused like me, I just asked our boss, and this award show wasn't at the same exact date last year because I was thinking if the NBA shut down, why did the SAG Awards still happen at this time last
more
year?
important.
Like NBA
Can I just say
SAG
this?
Awards.
Only Brad Pitt can get away with that wrist grab.
I
That's what
agree.
I'm
That
saying.
picture. Can we show that
That's what
picture?
I'm saying. We heard nothing.
Show the other one.
If that was anybody else, that would be like,
the other
don't
one.
grab her arm. And I
There, that's the one.
Come on now. I'm
You're
just
right.
saying. Come on, dog.
Look, her
Come
hand's
on.
almost on his heart. Do you see that, Lindsay?
Well, it's kind of low. It's more between the belly button area. But I get where you're going with that.
It's just so weird how we treat actors, though. It's like we go home for the pandemic. No one can do anything. So we plow through Netflix, literally watch everything that has all these actors.
Right, but we don't care about.
But then when they're like, hey, do you want to see them get an award for their hard work? No, they get enough anyway. They're rich. It's like, oh.
But that's how I feel, and maybe that's a double standard, but I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the Zoom. I don't want to see any more.
Once a year.
Remember Daniel Kaluuya, he got cut off.
Yeah,
with
that
the
was
mic,
so, and it was
no
like,
more.
come on. And at this point, you should know how to do it with award shows.
You're
It's been
Hollywood.
a year, please.
You're Hollywood. I agree. All right, let us know if you loved the SAG Awards. Coming up on DBL amid the rise of anti-Asian hate crimes, one journalist is sharing her emotional experience. She's confronting a bully from her past. Don't miss this incredible story coming up next.
Interest in the COVID-19 vaccine is plummeting among young people. So how does that impact our chances of stopping the spread? Let's connect the dots. At the beginning of the pandemic, Gen Z was more eager than any other age group to get the vaccine. An NBC News Morning Consult poll from March of 2020 showed only 5% of young people plan to skip their shot. Fast forward to 2021, that number has jumped to 26%. So what happened? First of all, states across the country started easing their restrictions. That meant college kids have been able to go to class, party at bars, even travel for spring break, meaning their lives are a lot closer to normal this semester. Some Gen Zers also say they're less concerned about COVID now that older people can get the vaccine. If grandma and grandpa are protected, they don't see why it's necessary for them to get the shot too, especially since symptoms are often less severe for young people. The doctors are warning that this is the wrong mentality to have. The virus can still have long-term effects on young people. And if Gen Z does not get vaccinated, we will likely never reach herd immunity. As long as the virus has someone else to infect, it will keep spreading. And that is connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. The hashtag Stop Asian Hate has gone viral since the deadly spa shootings in Atlanta. But how do we really stop hate crimes? Kat Rakowski thinks uncomfortable conversations are the answer. She recently confronted her high school bully to prove it. I spoke with her earlier in today's DBL Spotlight. Kat, welcome to DBL. So you've been really vocal about the racism that you've experienced throughout your life. You even confronted a bully from your past, which I can't believe. But before we get into that, can you tell me some of the hateful things that you recently experienced or specifically experienced?
You know, I have friends who have been who have had rocks thrown at them when they're trying to go for a jog. You know, you hear stories about a 65-year-old woman getting hit in the head. It's reached a fever pitch that is new.
Now let's talk about your recent interaction with your high school bully. You actually chose to reach out to him. So why did his actions haunt you the most, and what motivated you to even confront him now?
The people who have been unkind to me have children now. Like, how are we gonna stop this cycle? I gave myself a pep talk. I was like, why are you just wondering that? He's right there. Don't you wanna know? Like, if there's any chance that you could intervene and help create the world, I don't know, help just make it a little better, wouldn't that be nicer? I just reached out. I just asked him if he remembered me. He said, hi, of course I remembered you. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna go for it. Do you remember being unkind to me because I was Asian? Because this guy was cruel, and he did it for years. And to my utter delight, 15 minutes later, he responded. He didn't remember specifically being mean to me, but he remembered that he was mean as a teenager. He asked for my forgiveness. He said he regretted doing it. He said that as a parent now, it pains him to think that someone would do that to his child. And we instantly had this reconciliation that was possible because we were both willing to go there and be vulnerable.
Right, I was gonna say the vulnerability and the bravery. So how did it feel to get that type of response from him? Because it could have went any way.
It was so instant. It like filled my heart and I wept. Seeing that that was possible, seeing that he, you know, I confronted him out of the clear blue sky. And the fact that he could access that sort of openness to me and to his own past sins was so moving, and it was so healing. I think all marginalized people in this country and throughout history experience anger. It's not fair. It's not right. It harms us at every single level. That is justified and it is righteous, and it is not enough. We have to find a way to push through our anger if we are going to try to heal.
Right, and just having those conversations with someone open-minded and willing to take the next step to move forward and understand their implicit bias is very important. So, Kat, thank you so much for sharing your story with us today. We appreciate you.
Of course, thank you.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
watching Derrick Chauvin's murder trial, and we're getting a lot of questions. Claudia asks, is there a reason why Chauvin isn't handcuffed in court? Let's verify.
Why isn't Derrick Chauvin handcuffed in court? Our sources, Minnesota state law and a legal expert. Minnesota's criminal procedure lays out the rules and rights for defendants. Rule 2603 says, during trial, the defendant must be seated to permit effective consultation with defense counsel and to see and hear the proceedings, and they must not appear in the distinctive attire of a prisoner. That's why you see Derrick Chauvin in a suit next to his lawyer, Eric Nelson. As for why he's not handcuffed, the rules say defendants must not be subjected to physical restraint while in court unless the court finds the restraint necessary to maintain order or security, and states the reason for the restraints on the record outside the hearing of the jury.
The decision not to handcuff a defendant is a standard aspect of the defendant's right to a fair trial.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
It is easier to presume someone is guilty if they are in chains or if they are in jail or prison attire. And so courts don't let those things happen.
In this case, the court hasn't ordered any restraints for Chauvin, who was released from jail last October after posting a $1 million bond.
The protection he receives is actually the same as every other murder defendant, unless they're showing that they're physically a threat in the courtroom. The judge cannot handcuff someone.
In the rare situation where a defendant is handcuffed, state law says the judge must instruct the jury that the restraint must not be considered in reaching the verdict.
What they're doing in Minnesota is standard procedure in pretty much every court in the United States.
So we can verify, Chauvin isn't wearing handcuffs in court because state law entitles him not to appear with restraints during the trial unless there's a safety concern. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. First off, people are writing in, love your blouse.
And I feel like I look like Big Bird today, so I'm going to take the L.
And you
I am taking the L. No, this is not a good look for me. I don't really love it.
Please write in to
it makes
say.
Me feel safe. It's like the people that came in that movie out.
I can direct traffic in this joint. No.
It came to us like a body bag.
God, oh my Lord. All right. Someone did write in, Kevin from Facebook, where in the new law does it say they can't give out water? This is Georgia's new laws. There's wanted to know from PolitiFact, the law makes it a misdemeanor to give away food or water within 150 feet of the outer edge of a polling place building or within 25 feet of any voter in line. They can have a water fountain, but they aren't required to do so. So it's right there from PolitiFact. Quick goodbye to our coworkers at home today. We miss you. Yes. When the pandemic is over, we'll be back together again in the studio. We're new every day. See you tomorrow.
What we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Week 2 of the murder trial for Derrick Chauvin is underway, with Minneapolis's first black police chief testifying today. What will he say about his own officer who he fired? A big controversy in Georgia as Major League Baseball moves its All-Star game out of Atlanta in response to the state's new voting law. DBL Nation, are you for it or against it? History-making moments at the SAG Awards. We're talking all about the night's biggest winners.
Oh my goodness!
And Academy Award-winning actress Marlee Matlin is live on DBL today, sharing the deets about her groundbreaking new movie.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3,
2. Welcome to DBL. It is Monday, April 5th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Al. Erica joins us from home. Let's get right to it because it is the start of week 2 for the Derrick Chauvin trial, and we've got some big testimony today. Minneapolis Police Chief Madera Adonodo, the chief who fired Derrick Chauvin for his actions, is taking the stand for the prosecution. He's expected to testify about police training and tactics, saying that what Chauvin did was not proper protocol or necessary. Part of the reason that this is such a big deal is that typically police officers do not speak out against another member of law enforcement, but now we have a police chief testifying against his own officer. Do you think that that will influence the jury, Al?
Yes. I mean, I don't know how much influence is happening at this point. This is kind of something that we all saw. When I say all, I mean the world. But I do think it sets a bigger precedent in terms of police reform. And hopefully it'll show people that when people talk about police reform, we're just really trying to catch them up with every other job. There were things that reporters did in the 1980s that would be make you aghast right now. Everything updates, and I don't think police should be absolved from that in terms of like their behavior and their conduct and being able to check. I don't do anything wrong. If you want to go through my behavior every single day, I'm fine with that, and I'd like to see the same accountability from every profession, including a police officer.
Yeah, we talked about this on Friday, Al, me and you during the break. We never got to the story, but our point was, I believe a commander, someone else from the police department testified, and now we have the supervisor, the chief testifying. My point was, I'm like, everyone saw this, and he said, you know, if he stopped being combative, you stop with your force. I'm like, that's obvious. And this guy's like, they didn't need that excessive force. And Al was like, well, if you're on the police force, that blue wall, you got to stick up for your people. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I would say the right thing for my family, for my friends, the way my parents raised me. I'd say that's excessive force. If I was that guy's superior, I would say that's excessive. Blue line or not blue line, I'll take what I'm going to get at work, but that's excessive, and I have to do the right thing as a person. Police need to step up, and I think most of the time they do the right thing.
And an example I brought up in that side conversation was the movie American Gangster, where you know, there was the situation where this cop was finding a lot of drug money, and he turned it in. And all the other cops on the force were like, what are you doing? We're going to split that up. And so they started treating him poorly. And so you have to remember that for somebody like Jeff that would want to speak up, because there's obviously a lot of great cops that would speak up like yourself, but there's a consequence to that. And the consequence is severe. So we need to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Right. And Erica, chime in here. But before you do, I just want to make a correction to that the police testimonies. Minneapolis Police Chief is Madera Arredondo. All right, go ahead, Erica.
Yeah, you know, at this point, I think that because we all kind of feel in a certain way that we were at the scene of the crime, that we're really just waiting to see what the verdict is going to be, because it truly is a verdict on where our society is at this moment. Do we look at a murder, a man who was killed in front of our own eyes that we've all seen the video of, and say, well, the police was just doing his job? Or do we say that there's going to be accountability, and not just for this case, but for every case that follows it? And that's really what the verdict is. At this point, it's just about how we're going to decide to live our lives as a society.
Well said. There's a precedent here for sure. And we will be following the trial, so stay with us, DBL Nation. So a lot of you have been talking about this all weekend. Major League Baseball announced it's moving the All-Star game out of Georgia after the state passed a restrictive new voting law that critics say will make it harder to vote in the state's urban areas, particularly for black voters. So over the weekend, the Braves covered up the All-Star patch that was on their uniforms. But on the other side, Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp is vowing not to back down after he signed the new law. Here's some of what he said in response to Major League Baseball's decision.
Yesterday, Major League Baseball caved to fear and lies from liberal activists. They ignored the facts of our new election integrity law, and they ignored the consequences of their decision on our local community. It means cancel culture and partisan activists are coming for your business. They're coming for your game or event in your hometown. And they're coming to cancel everything from sports to how you make a living.
Some Republicans are even calling for a boycott of baseball. So DBL Nation, we got to hear from you. I'm going to read your comments in just a moment. Do you support MLB's decision to move the game? Yes or no? Go to dblvote.com to weigh in. We are already receiving comments. What would you say, Al?
I'd say, yes, I definitely support them because, like I said, this isn't an issue really even about voting laws. We always get in this when we talk about cancel culture and we talk about how corporations respond to them. But this is what we want as Americans. We trumpet capitalism. Socialism, if assigned to a candidate, is almost like the S word. So we love capitalism. But when a company says we don't want to associate our brand with whatever it is, whether it's the whether it's the voting laws, whether it's Tiger Woods getting a DUI and Buick pulling back, that's their decision. It's also your decision to not support the MLB. So this is a perfect situation. You have autonomy over where you show up, and the MLB has autonomy over where its games are played. I feel like it's a win-win. What are we doing here?
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying now, totally, but I'm going to push back in this sense. Take out what the MLB is fighting against, okay? Take out exactly what that is, because I agree with what they're fighting against. But I don't like Major League Baseball getting involved. Number one, they're turning down a lot of money coming to that city and state, right? You give away an all-star game. A lot of cities vie for that all-star game for the Super Bowl because it brings in a lot of income. They're now pushing this away, okay? And again, make sure this is clear. It's not that I'm fighting against what they're fighting against. I'm just saying in general. If you say Biden passed a COVID bill and there's underground tunnels in there to move from city to city, that has nothing to do with COVID. Now I can't watch the Bears play because the Bears don't agree with that bill. It's like I don't want professional sports getting involved with certain issues. And again, I'm not fighting the issue. I have to make that clear. I'm just saying I don't know if it's Major League Baseball's place to get involved.
See, I think it is their place. And again, I'm not pushing back on.
And again, not the issue.
I know. Believe me, I know. But Erica, and jump in here. I feel, and then I'm going to read comments after you. I feel that it is their platform and it is their influence, and good for them for wanting to somehow lay some sort of groundwork or make a statement based on what they believe is the right thing. I applaud them.
I agree with you, Sam. I think that it is really important that it goes up the ranks to an MLB because they control a certain degree of money, right? Those all-star games bring in between $40 and $60 million for the city that is hosting. So it's a really big deal. And if you want to make people listen, you have to go after their pockets. The problem with this, to what Jeff is kind of saying in some respect, is that there are going to be people who are affected by this bill and affected by the fact that MLB has pulled from Atlanta that, one, are already affected by the bill negatively as a voter, but also are going to be affected further financially. So those people become casualties of what's really happening, the greater picture. But I find it so interesting when we're talking about this bill in Georgia that a year ago we referred to these workers as frontline workers. They were essential workers. These were the people that were the heroes because they couldn't work from home and they were brave enough to leave their homes and continue to go out and stimulate the economy. Now we're putting bans on them in order for them to be less likely to vote, because let's keep it very clear, this is direct to people of color as well as those who are considered lower quartile. So a lot of these people that are affected by the bill, by only being able to vote on a Saturday or a Sunday, or only being able to go in during regular business hours or office hours, are the people who are going to be affected. So they were essential workers, but now a year later, they're not essential voters.
And thank you, Erica. And really quickly, because I said I'd read your comments. Our comments are all over the board. Rick says moving the All-Star game from Atlanta does absolutely nothing. However, Mike Wilson says MLB deserves more kudos for moving the All-Star game. All right, and it looks like our, let's see, 55. Okay, we'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
The Verify team is here to make sure you have the facts, because not everything you see online is real. A viewer named Sue sent us this email. I just received an economic impact payment card. Is this real? She wanted us to verify whether these cards are legit. Here are sources: the IRS.
They are legit.
And Henry Grez from the American Institute of CPAs, who says yes, these cards can be trusted.
It should be in an envelope coming from the mail to you, coming from the U.S. Treasury.
Here's exactly what the envelope will look like, according to the IRS. Note the seal for the Department of Treasury, and inside you'll find a card that looks like this. And don't be alarmed by the MetaBank label in the back. This is the Treasury's financial agent, so it's supposed to be there. According to the IRS, the last day to receive payments through direct deposit was March 24th. So now they're only coming through the mail, through either checks or these debit cards.
The card makes it easy to access your money for things like groceries.
These cards can be used online and at stores. You could transfer the money to another account. It could even be cashed out at an ATM. And as for concerns that the government will be able to track your purchases, our expert says this is false.
There's going to be no tracing of what you're buying or how you're spending.
So you don't have to use it responsibly. You could use this money on whatever you want.
That's right.
So we can verify that these debit cards are real, and the IRS says they're safe and secure. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. It has been 34 years since actress Marlee Matlin made history, becoming the first and still only deaf actor to win an Oscar for her groundbreaking role in Children of a Lesser God. Since then, she has starred in numerous TV shows, including The West Wing, Reasonable Doubts, The L Word, and Switched at Birth. Today, she joins us to talk about her new Oscar-nominated short film that she executive produced. Her interpreter, Jack Jason, is also with us off screen. Marlee, thank you for joining us here in DBL. We are huge fans. I want to start by talking.
Oh, thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
It's our pleasure. It's our honor. I want to start by talking about your groundbreaking role in Children of a Lesser God. You were just 19 when you were cast in that film and ended up winning an Oscar for Best Actress. Well-deserved. You were the youngest winner ever and first deaf actress to win the award. How did you handle that sudden fame at 19 years old?
Well, back then, there was no social media. Back then, there was no anything that would, terrify the hell out of me while the Oscar campaign was going on, because it was so different. I was nominated. Remember, I was in rehab when I was nominated. I had no idea about, what it entails to be on an Oscar campaign, about the dress, about all the stuff that you had to get, who's next to who. Now it's completely different. It's a little too much, but it's been an interesting ride. I have to tell you that it's way different from the, 34 years ago.
All right. Hey, Marlee, this is Al Jackson. Let's be honest. You are killing it right now. You are an executive producer on a new short film called Feeling Through. It's up for an Oscar this year. I watched it. I agree. It's also the first film to star a deaf-blind actor. Let's take a look.
Young man.
Marlee, I watched this movie, and I'll just tell you before I get to my question, it really hit me how it just showed me, because I look back at my life and I realized that a lot of times when I changed for the better, it was in a situation when I felt like people weren't looking. I feel like that's when you really decide what kind of person you're going to be, when you're able to either go the wrong way or the right way, but at the same time you're kind of, no one's there to judge you, it's just you. And I saw that in this film. So what can you tell us about the film and why it was important to cast a deaf-blind actor in this role?
In all honesty, the film was already, I mean, it's based on a true story. The director, Doug Rowland, who, it happened to him. It happened to him. So he wrote about this experience in this fictionalized version of it. Meeting a deafblind gentleman in the night changed his perspective. It changed how he, saw his fellow human being. And in the film, Derrick is somebody, the homeless guy is somebody who can't find a place to stay for the night and is struggling to find a path. And he's sort of wallowing in his pity. And then suddenly there's a person there, a deafblind guy, that changes his life for the better. It probably happens to a lot of people where you have an encounter with somebody that is unexpected, that changes the path that you're on. And it becomes a learning experience. And I think it also gives you an opportunity to, do some self-examination. And I think the film does a really good job of that there are other people out there who can make your life better, who can, whether they're asking you for help or whether they're somebody on the street who is homeless or somebody even who lives across the street. It's all about the connection of two people. It's all about humanity.
Loved it.
Marley, Jeff here. Thank you so much for being on DBL. But I have this great question for you. We've been having a conversation about quote unquote actors with disabilities, right? Should they play their different roles? So the actor Riz Ahmed is up for an Oscar, I should say, for playing a man who goes deaf. How do you feel about non-disabled actors playing characters with disabilities?
Well, for example, in Children of a Lesser God, I was a deaf person acting as a deaf person, and the role happened to be deaf. That's called authenticity, okay? Authenticity is the big word in Hollywood these days, a capital A. All these years, people really haven't realized how important it is to have an actor who happens to have a disability play a role with a disability. There's so many actors out there who, listen, all these years that we've had, I'm never going to discount a role that somebody has taken on. But I think it's time that we should look at the deaf actors, the deaf-blind actors, the disabled actors in Hollywood, in our community, who can write, who can direct, and who can act, and that we shouldn't assume disability is a costume that one puts on or takes off. So I'm really excited that a lot of people now are realizing that Hollywood is talking about that, and they're collaborating with our community, working together, and making more beautiful work because it's authentic.
So I'm glad that you feel relief, right, Marley, that you've seen some progress in Hollywood, but do you feel that there has been enough progress in terms of diversity, not only in front of the camera, but also behind the camera in Hollywood?
I mean, there's always work to do. There's always work to do. And certainly we aren't just going to sit back and stay quiet. Our community is very vocal, whether we're talking about with our voices or with our hands. There are some films, I think, that are out there that you will still see every once in a while where disability is like a costume that an actor puts on and takes off. But I think it's important to open a dialogue, to have a conversation, and do what we can to make progress. And again, if we're talking about writers, directors, whatever it may be.
Incredible. You really are not only an incredible actor, but now an executive producer, an activist. We are so appreciative of you. Thank you for coming on DBL. And also to all of our viewers, you can watch her new Oscar-nominated short film, Feeling Through, on YouTube. Yes, we highly recommend it. Thank you so much, Marley.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Interest in the COVID-19 vaccine is plummeting among young people. So how does that impact our chances of stopping the spread? Let's connect the dots. At the beginning of the pandemic, Gen Z was more eager than any other age group to get the vaccine. An NBC News Morning Consult poll from March of 2020 showed only 5% of young people plan to skip their shot. Fast forward to 2021, that number has jumped to 26%. So what happened? First of all, states across the country started easing their restrictions. That meant college kids have been able to go to class, party at bars, even travel for spring break, meaning their lives are a lot closer to normal this semester. Some Gen Zers also say they're less concerned about COVID now that older people can get the vaccine. If grandma and grandpa are protected, they don't see why it's necessary for them to get the shot too, especially since symptoms are often less severe for young people. The doctors are warning that this is the wrong mentality to have. The virus can still have long-term effects on young people, and if Gen Z does not get vaccinated, we will likely never reach herd immunity. As long as the virus has someone else to infect, it will keep spreading. And that is connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads will have you asking, what am I thankful for? Watch as a mother of 4 holds her newborn baby boy for the first time months after she gave birth following a COVID diagnosis.
After COVID forced her to give birth in a coma, this mom finally held her baby. Daisy Marcillo was hospitalized with COVID in January. She was on a ventilator and in a coma while 29 weeks pregnant. Doctors had to perform an emergency surgery C-section to save her son Ragnar. He weighed just 3 pounds, but miraculously survived. Her extended family desperately prayed for the mother of 5. Though her damaged lungs will likely need oxygen permanently, Daisy was finally cleared to go home months after contracting COVID.
I'm happy. I survived. It's a miracle.
She was able to hold her baby boy for the first time since January.
That's the first time holding my baby. It's amazing. It's amazing to be here. I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
What a beautiful story. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
watching Derrick Chauvin's murder trial, and we're getting a lot of questions. Claudia asks, is there a reason why Chauvin isn't handcuffed in court? Let's verify.
Why isn't Derrick Chauvin handcuffed in court? Our sources, Minnesota state law and a legal expert. Minnesota's criminal procedure lays out the rules and rights for defendants. Rule 2603 says, during trial, the defendant must be seated to permit effective consultation with defense counsel and to see and hear the proceedings, and they must not appear in the distinctive attire of a prisoner. That's why you see Derrick Chauvin in a suit next to his lawyer, Eric Nelson. As for why he's not handcuffed, the rules say defendants must not be subjected to physical restraint while in court unless the court finds the restraint necessary to maintain order or security, and states the reason for the restraints on the record outside the hearing of the jury.
The decision not to handcuff a defendant is a standard aspect of the defendant's right to a fair trial.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
It is easier to presume someone is guilty if they are in chains or if they are in jail or prison attire. And so courts don't let those things happen.
In this case, the court hasn't ordered any restraints for Chauvin, who was released from jail last October after posting a $1 million bond.
The protection he receives is actually the same as every other murder defendant. Unless they're showing that they're physically a threat in the courtroom, the judge cannot handcuff someone.
In the rare situation where a defendant is handcuffed, state law says the judge must instruct the jury that the restraint must not be considered in reaching the verdict.
What they're doing in Minnesota is standard procedure in pretty much every court in the United States.
So we can verify, Chauvin isn't wearing handcuffs in court because state law entitles him not to appear with restraints during the trial unless there's a safety concern. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Comments in regard to Georgia. So Earl says corporations that care about voting rights in Georgia should give every worker a paid day off of their choice to vote. And then we have here, sports donates millions to political campaigns. So why are politicians now mad when they have political sway? That is Audrey. If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and be part of our DBL Nation. But if you're sticking around, here's what's coming up.
I'm sticking around.
Kate Winslet is getting real about the homophobia that still exists in Hollywood. Plus, people of color win big at the Screen Actors Guild Awards. And a big thank you to our coworkers watching from home right now. We miss you all. DBL's new every day. And we will be right back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Al. Erica joins us from home, so let's get started. Last night, the Screen Actors Guild Awards were handed out. Like many pandemic award shows, the nominees appeared remotely. But unlike past shows, this one was pre-taped and only 1 hour long. Still, the SAGs made history handing out the top film acting awards to people of color. Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman won for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and Daniel Kaluuya and Ewan won the, sorry, let me take that back because I want to make sure I pronounce both of these names properly.
You nailed it.
Daniel Kaluuya and Ewan won the supporting actors categories, and Catherine O'Hara, oh yeah, she became the 4th actress to sweep all 5 major TV awards in a single season with her win for playing my favorite, Moira Rose, on Schitt's Creek. Erica, what did you make about the history that took place at the SAG Awards?
Well, first, Sam, I just want to commend you because you took your time, you got those names right, and we are here for that.
Thank you.
So thank you. I also feel like this is such a wonderful time in history in general, just because we've really decided that representation matters, and the right type of representation. You know, like, we're really giving credit where credit is due based on the artistry. I know a lot of people are having conversations about the idea that it's all done via Zoom and it's virtual. Does it change the dynamics? And while I've never received an award at an award show, I have received one virtually, and I'm just going to tell you right here, right now, it's about the culmination of your work. Whether there's a million people around you or it's just you, your dog, and your husband, it means something. So I am here for it all.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this, Eric, because I know that everybody's saying that, well, people didn't watch the SAG Awards. Look, a lot of people watch award shows for different reasons. It's like if they took the Super Bowl and they cut it up where there was no, pregame, no halftime, no commercials. And so the people that will watch just the game are the Super Bowl junkies, the guys that just love football. With the SAG, this is for the movie nerds. The people are like, I'm into movies. I followed this person's career. So it's like, it's going to be down. But I think the people that watched it for the right reasons.
I like the 1 hour.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are getting, listen, this is just me. I think people are getting tired of award shows. There's too many of them, right? So they're trying to cut it down an hour to get more eyeballs on there. But I think people are tired of the pandemic as well, right? We want to get back to normal. We want to see all the celebrities together. We want to be there together. So I think people are just fatigued in general. Also, there was no Brad and Jen moment.
Do you remember last year?
Yeah, last
Did we
year.
have a picture from last year?
It wasn't about who won. It was about that moment right there.
I remember that moment. Yes, I do. All right, so also last night on American Idol, while Katy Perry was judging a contestant, she revealed that she ditched her razor since becoming a new mom. Have a look.
And as a new mother, I don't have very much time, so I've quit shaving my legs. But when you sang, the hair on my legs grew 1.5 inches. So, full body chills. Oh, wow.
Katy later poked fun at her lack of grooming by posting an animated look at her leg hair. I so can relate to this. Listen, I love me a good shower where I can scrub everything, shave everything, the whole 9 yards. But when you have no time, Al, how dare you?
I'm listening.
You have a grimace on your face.
That's just the way I look, Sam. I'm not an attractive man.
Okay, it's really hard to take a shower with 2 kids. And if it really is, it's tough to have time without one of them in the bathroom. You know, Jeff, you can't even go to the bathroom by yourself.
I show up here every day and I shave my face.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I have 2 kids.
Okay, well, maybe you're not taking care of the kids as much as I am then, because I don't have time to regularly shave my legs, and that's a fact.
All right.
Erica?
I mean, I forget to shave my legs all the time, and we are dinks. That's a dual income, no kids.
Listen, let me have a serious conversation. Take the pregnancy out of it because that's not fair. Of course you don't have to shave your legs during pregnancy. Afterwards, though, if my wife tells me, I don't want you to have a beard, I'll shave my beard. Why is it so sexist if I'm like, listen, could you do me a favor? You got to shave your legs because I don't like it. I don't like it. One man to their wife, can I say that?
I think it's probably quicker
So
to
your
shave a
answer
beard.
was no. Your
Well,
answer
no,
was no.
I don't think it's sexist because I believe in preferences, and I think it's totally fine for your wife to say, I don't like it when you have a beard, or you say, you know, I like you to look a certain way.
Not look, shave.
Okay, but it takes a long time to shave legs. It's really hard to shave legs when I have two
What are we talking about in
kids.
terms of times? Because guys don't know. So how long would you say?
To shave your legs properly? Maybe like 2 minutes.
Okay.
What?
I had your back. I thought you were going to put a 0 behind that. 2 minutes.
Dude, I don't have enough.
I
Moms
know,
out
but
there
like-
and a lot of dads don't have enough time to really sit down and enjoy a meal, let alone get in the shower and shave every day. I'm not saying once a week. Do you have to shave your beard every single day? Oh, you do? All right. Well, I feel Katy Perry there, 1,000%.
I think a lot of women do. That's why I was genuinely curious.
I think it just
obviously, I've
doesn't
raised
become a
kids. I know how it
priority.
is. It's scary to be in the bathroom when they're not there.
No, they're there.
You bringing them in?
They follow me everywhere. Even when Mark's like, yeah, go do your thing, take a shower, they find me. They want to be around me. Jordan knows that.
But it's okay to have that conversation. Listen, if you want hairy legs and hairy everything,
I don't
you're
think
a woman,
she does.
go for it. I don't care if you look like Sasquatch. My wife, I don't want that, right? If she doesn't want something for me, I'm going to change. I think you could have that relationship and talk about that without being labeled as sexist on national television like
I think
people
all
are writing in right
couples
now.
have those conversations. Maybe not everyone's as honest as you are. So thank you for your honesty. It's true.
That's not a
Country singer Maren Morris is embracing her body after giving birth to her son last year. She posted this pic on Instagram, writing that she is never going to try to get her body back again. She added that she didn't lose it like a set of keys, and that the pressure on mothers to snap back is insurmountable and deeply troublesome. New mom Mandy Moore agreed. She wrote, "Snapback culture is insane. Thanks for this," in the comments.
Want me to step in it some more?
Go,
I'll
please.
go for it. Listen, I think I don't know one person, again, and I'm only speaking for me, my group of friends, and I don't know anybody who puts pressure on any pregnant woman after what we as a father just saw them go through about losing their weight. I think a lot of women put that pressure on themselves, or society puts that pressure on them. Because as a father, there is no way I would ever tell my wife, you need to get rid of that weight. I might tell you to shave your legs because
Jeff,
I like
I'm
it
going to say
during
this.
sexy time.
You have taken a lot for your stance on the dad bod whenever some story comes out where everybody's like, oh, we like dad bods better. I am telling you, I cannot speak for all men, but I will say of the many men that I've met, they do not mind a little extra weight. They don't mind. I've never sat at a bar or restaurant watching the game and somebody's like, my wife's disgusting now. I've never heard a guy say that. And I do think a lot of that, that's why the movie Mean Girls, I think, resonated so much. A lot of the pressure comes from you guys. And it's not fair, whoever it's coming from, but I don't want to speak on that, so please do.
No, I agree with the both of you. I do think that for my own partner and watching how you are and watching how you are with your children, you've only been supportive to Jordan and to other women who've been pregnant around you. I do think that society places almost like an indoctrination on women where you have your kid, you bounce back, you snap back, you gotta lose the weight, you gotta get your summer bod back. And a lot of women feel that pressure. I know I felt that pressure, especially right after I had Miles and I knew that I had to get back on air.
But where did you feel the pressure from?
I think this is an indoctrination from society. Never from my husband, never from my peers.
Not anyone personal that you know. So it's so weird how this is such a big part of society and culture.
But I think it's magazines,
when people, you're right, but
Barbie.
no one in any conversation that a normal person has ever brings this up. Right? Isn't it kind of weird how it's such a big deal?
I think it's just through historically speaking, Erica. What do you make of it?
Well, yeah, there's certainly a reason why women have felt this way for so long, is because it has been constantly perpetuated by society, by who is celebrated, who's not celebrated, who's accelerated, who is decelerated. There's a box, there's a template for all of it, and we're either consciously or subconsciously giving the keys to success and admiration through who we're praising and why we're praising them. Now, I don't think these are people or images that are undeserving of praise for some things, but it's like there's a hierarchy. Why does there have to be a hierarchy where this is at the top and then everyone else at the bottom are minimized? Like, it's just a spectrum to me. And I think when we're talking about pregnant women, that's when we're really trying to be a little bit more empathetic, some of us, because we understand that that's like how the world evolves, by bringing new people into it. And there's a woman who has to do that. So I think we get a little bit more sensitive, as we should, about it, but we really should kind of expand that grace and sensitivity to everyone.
Let me put a button on this for everybody. If you're a man saying this about a woman, you watch a woman give birth, and you will never, ever speak those words ever again.
Well
I
said,
watched
Jeff.
it. That was a different man.
Well said, both of you. Try doing it. Ooh!
No.
Okay, so Massimo Giannoli was released from prison early. Wow, Massimo was released ahead of his 5-month sentence in time for Easter. My goodness. Okay, so do we know, producers, what his total time served was? They're going to find out for me.
Did you watch the Netflix documentary?
Yeah, I did.
It was pretty good.
Very good.
did.
What was the name of that? I forgot. They could find that out too.
Admission scandal, college admission scandal. Yes. So you can watch a whole documentary on the college admission scandal and exactly all the different families involved, including Massimo's family, to learn more about it. I was just told by our producer he served 2 months. Do you think that's a stiff enough sentence?
2 out of 5?
Dude, the guy who started the whole thing isn't even in jail yet. So how about that?
I don't think he will be in jail because he turned everybody else in.
Erica, what do you think? Because you seem to enjoy this.
Oh, no, I was just fascinated by this documentary and how much we really kind of already knew. But I think it's the actual watching of these were actual conversations from tapped phone lines that they were just reenacting. And some of the things that were said is like, it's mind blowing.
Erica,
I mean,
can you
it's
tell
not
us
shocking,
really quickly one thing that stood out to you? Can you tell us one thing from the conversation that stood out?
Well, some of the parents referring to how their children weren't that bright and they needed to do this in order to get them into college, and they didn't want them to know. Some of them, the kids were in on it, but they were having these really oh, well, she's not as smart as the older one. Yo.
It was for the parents, not for the kids.
Yes, it was definitely for the parents and their clout, which is ridiculous and shameful. But I just got a correction. He did serve nearly 5 months. The rest of his time will be at home. So there you go. Okay. I don't know where the 2 months came from.
Yeah, I read an article that said that they couldn't really tell where he was. He was kind of in a halfway house, but they didn't know where he was for these last couple of days. It's a very strange story.
Okay.
I've read up on this, and you look at me like we're talking about it, and just walk up to you in a bus stop and start talking about him.
You have multiple sources to back that up.
Yeah.
So we don't.
I have several websites.
Our facts would have been a little better had I known this story was going to be in here. What's the name of that movie?
I think they just.
I know, because it's very timely. That's why we sound like idiots talking about it.
I've read, and Sam is looking at me
I would have did a little more research on it.
I just hope you have sources, is all I'm saying.
You think I'm making this up?
No, I don't think you're making it up.
I do.
Coming up on DBL, Egypt's royal history on parade. But will these mummies reignite the infamous Pharaoh's curse? Plus, Kate Winslet is shining a new light on an old problem, homophobia in Hollywood, and how it is affecting men. And our DBL staff is working hard at home during the pandemic when COVID is behind us. We hopefully will all be reunited in the studio. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
Verify team is here to make sure you have the facts, because not everything you see online is real. A viewer named Sue sent us this email. I just received an economic impact payment card. Is this real? She wanted us to verify whether these cards are legit. Here are our sources: the IRS.
They are legit.
And Henry Grez from the American Institute of CPAs, who says yes, these cards can be trusted.
It should be in an envelope coming from the mail to you, coming from the U.S. Treasury.
Here's exactly what the envelope will look like, according to the IRS. Note the seal for the Department of Treasury, and inside you'll find a card that looks like this. And don't be alarmed by the MetaBank label in the back. This is the Treasury's financial agent, so it's supposed to be there. there. According to the IRS, the last day to receive payments through direct deposit was March 24th. So now they're only coming through the mail, through either checks or these debit cards.
The card makes it easy to access your money for things like groceries.
These cards can be used online and at stores. You could transfer the money to another account. It can even be cashed out at an ATM. And as for concerns that the government will be able to track your purchases, our expert says this is false.
There's going to be no tracing of what you're buying or how you're spending.
So you don't have to use it responsibly. You could use this money on whatever you want.
That's right.
So we can verify that these debit cards are real, and the IRS says they're safe and secure. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Thanks to Kate Winslet, the conversation about gay actors playing straight roles is trending. Kate told the Sunday Times she knows at least 4 well-known actors who are not public about their sexuality. She claims their worry is that they will not be considered for straight roles. Kate also thinks this applies more to men in Hollywood than women. Wow. Erica, what do you think of actors hiding their sexuality? And should gay actors be able to play straight roles? Obviously they should, but what do you make of that?
Yeah, we've had this conversation, and I think it's more complex than where we're really going with it, because I think at the genesis of it, it's the idea that these roles that were specifically made for majority actors, let's say, are now. So it's basically like the need of or the roles versus who wants to go for the roles. So if you're a straight actor and you're trying to go for a role, there's a million straight acting roles you can go for. But if you're a gay actor and you're going for a straight role, there is this like pressure against you. But then when you get like I was going to say something else, but when you, I've had this conversation with 3 different people, but then when you get a gay role, then it goes to a straight actor, and it's like, okay, well, you had a million different roles that you could have gone for, but now you're going to go for the only role out of like 5 out of a million that I could have gone for. So I can understand the frustration behind it, is basically what I'm saying.
I just think it's kind of ironic because when I see Hollywood, I see very progressive, very liberal, and then you bring up this conversation, so it's kind of weird to have this. I'm all for everybody playing whatever role they are because it's all about numbers at the box office. People don't know, but you have to invest $50 million if you're going to make a $100 million movie per se, right? So you need someone that can carry that weight to get you those ticket sales. But then we just talked to Marlee Matlin, and she's like, well, how is she supposed to play another role because she can't speak and she's deaf? So it's like, now I'm like torn because we just talked to her and I understand where she's coming from, but I think the best actor for the role. So it is a complex conversation.
It is a complex conversation, and to your point, you did mention something that stood out to me. You mentioned how like inclusive Hollywood is. No matter how inclusive Hollywood is, they still have to abide to the rest of America, because you talked about that number.
The rest of the world.
The rest of the world. And it's a shame, so they might be scared, or maybe they're going off of actual data where they feel like that if we found out that Tom Cruise, and this is just me saying this, I'm not alleging anything, but if we found out that Tom Cruise is not straight, would they be fearful that most Americans or certain Americans would not go to the box office to see him play in Mission Impossible 3? And I would hope so. But
he's on like 8 now, by the way.
Oh. Mission Impossible 10.
I'll say the same. Obviously this country has a long way to go in terms of how we view homosexuality, but we've come a long way, baby. Like Virginia Slim, I'm very proud of the progress. We have a long way to go. But the rest of the world, that is still a no-go. So if you're trying to sell movies across the world, which is how you make your money, and there are certain regions of the world where that's like that actor will not be shown, it's something to think about as an investor, and
to-
that's what causes the pushback, unfortunately.
But I think that
Not saying it's right.
But of course, but I think that they may be pleasantly surprised, just like they saw with Crazy Rich Asians, just like they saw with a number of different big blockbuster films that have broken through that a lot of people did not think would turn out money at the box office. We'll be right back.
We all know that movement is like medicine.
Interest in the COVID-19 vaccine is plummeting among young people. So how does that impact our chances of stopping the spread? Let's connect the dots. At the beginning of the pandemic, Gen Z was more eager than any other age group to get the vaccine. An NBC News Morning Consult poll from March of 2020 showed only 5% of young people plan to skip their shot. Fast forward to 2021, that number has jumped to 26%. So what happened? First of all, states across the country started easing their restrictions. That meant college kids have been able to go to class, party at bars, even travel for spring break, meaning their lives are a lot closer to normal this semester. Some Gen Zers also say they're less concerned about COVID now that older people can get the vaccine. If grandma and grandpa are protected, they don't see why it's necessary for them to get the shot too, especially since symptoms are often less severe for young people. The doctors are warning that this is the wrong mentality to have. The virus can still have long-term effects on young people, and if Gen Z does not get vaccinated, we will likely never reach herd immunity. As long as the virus has someone else to infect, it will keep spreading. And that is connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. So over the weekend, Egypt held a golden parade. They moved 22 of its prized royal mummies. They went from central Cairo to their new resting place in a massive new museum. The ceremony included climate-controlled cases loaded onto trucks decorated with wings and Egyptian designs. They also had people on horseback, along with all sorts of fanfare for the royals who were originally buried 3,000 years ago. But some are worried that moving the mummies will trigger an ancient curse. The curse of the pharaohs that was written on Tutankhamun's tomb, aka King Tut. It reads, "Death will come on quick wings for those who disturb the king's peace." In fact, they're pointing to recent disasters in the area, including the ship that blocked the Suez Canal, a deadly train crash, and more as examples of the curse in action.
Were there any examples that happened in Egypt?
The Suez Canal is right there near Egypt.
It's not right. It's not in Egypt.
Yeah, but it impacted Egypt.
If the Nile River dried up, then we're talking.
Aren't bad things happening all the time?
Egyptians could...
You could associate anything that happens bad to that.
Why?
Bad things are going to happen. That's the way.
Like, for example, Erica, Sam was mean to me on the show today.
When was
so
I
then
mean
if I
to
say
you?
that I'm going to unleash a curse and then there's a fender bender right outside the studio, I'd be like, that's the curse right there. Like, I'm not worried about this curse. Erica, talk to me.
I don't believe you.
Y'all brave.
Yeah, I'm with you,
Y'all
Erica.
brave.
Let me put this...
Y'all far more.
Hey, I didn't move the tomb.
Let me put this on you, Al.
Okay.
Erica, let's pretend Al is about to move into a new home. And he comes to us and he says, I just found out that there are a bunch of graves underneath my home, and some of the graves have curses written on them. Would you still move into that home,
Yes,
Al?
graves is better foundational support for the house.
You
I
are
don't believe
such
in
a
spirits.
That's amazing, Al. Move into your house, none of us are going to visit. That's cool.
We'll be right back.
Spooky.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
watching Derrick Chauvin's murder trial, and we're getting a lot of questions. Claudia asks, is there a reason why Chauvin isn't handcuffed in court? Let's verify.
Why isn't Derrick Chauvin handcuffed in court? Our sources, Minnesota state law and a legal expert. Minnesota's criminal procedure lays out the rules and rights for defendants. Rule 2603 says, during trial, the defendant must be seated to permit effective consultation with defense counsel and to see and hear the proceedings, and they must not appear in the distinctive attire of a prisoner. That's why you see Derrick Chauvin in a suit next to his lawyer, Eric Nelson. As for why he's not handcuffed, the rules say defendants must not be subjected to physical restraint while in court unless the court finds the restraint necessary to maintain order or security, and states the reason for the restraints on the record outside the hearing of the jury.
The decision not to handcuff a defendant is a standard aspect of the defendant's right to a fair trial.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
It is easier to presume someone is guilty if they are in chains or if they are in jail or prison attire. And so courts don't let those things happen.
In this case, the court hasn't ordered any restraints for Chauvin, who was released from jail last October after posting a $1 million bond.
The protection he receives is actually the same as every other murder defendant, unless they're showing that they're physically a threat in the courtroom. The judge cannot handcuff someone.
In the rare situation where a defendant is handcuffed, state law says the judge must instruct the jury that the restraint must not be considered in reaching the verdict.
What they're doing in Minnesota is standard procedure in pretty much every court in the United States.
So we can verify, Chauvin isn't wearing handcuffs in court because state law entitles him not to appear with restraints during the trial unless there's a safety concern. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Okay, so I just received this comment on Twitter from I'm Jack's Mama. I feel you, Sam Shocker. My son has walked past his father, gone into the bathroom while I'm showering, pulled back the curtain to hand me a bag of fruit snacks for me to open for him. I know.
Fruit snacks are a parent's life.
Yep, DBL is new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Here's what we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Week 2 of the murder trial for Derrick Chauvin is underway, with Minneapolis's first black police chief testifying today. What will he say about his own officer who he fired? A big controversy in Georgia as Major League Baseball moves its All-Star game out of Atlanta in response to the state's new voting law. DBL Nation, are you for it or against it? History-making moments at the SAG Awards. We're talking all about the night's biggest winners.
Oh my goodness!
And Academy Award-winning actress Marlee Matlin is live on DBL today, sharing the deets about her groundbreaking new movie.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It is Monday, April 5th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Al. Erica joins us from home. Let's get right to it because it is the start of week 2 for the Derrick Chauvin trial, and we've got some big testimony today. Minneapolis Police Chief Madera Adonodo, the chief who fired Derrick Chauvin for his actions, is taking the stand for the prosecution. He's expected to testify about police training and tactics, saying that what Chauvin did was not proper protocol or necessary. Part of the reason that this is such a big deal is that typically police officers do not speak out against another member of law enforcement, but now we have a police chief testifying against his own officer. Do you think that that will influence the jury, Al?
Yes. I mean, I don't know how much influence is happening at this point. This is kind of something that we all saw. When I say all, I mean the world. But I do think it sets a bigger precedent in terms of police reform. And hopefully it'll show people that when people talk about police reform, we're just really trying to catch them up with every other job. There were things that reporters did in the 1980s that would be make you aghast right now. Everything updates, and I don't think police should be absolved from that in terms of like their behavior and their conduct and being able to check. I don't do anything wrong. If you want to go through my behavior every single day, I'm fine with that, and I'd like to see the same accountability from every profession, including a police officer.
Yeah, we talked about this on Friday, Al. Me and you during the break. We never got to the story, but our point was, I believe a commander, someone else from the police department testified, and now we have the supervisor, the chief testifying. My point was, I'm like, everyone saw this, and he said, you know, if he stopped being combative, you stop with your force. I'm like, that's obvious. And this guy's like, they didn't need that excessive force. And Al was like, well, if you're on the police force, that blue wall, you got to stick up for your people. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I would say the right thing for my family, for my friends, the way my parents raised me. I'd say that's excessive force. If I was that guy's superior, I would say that's excessive. Blue line or not blue line, I'll take what I'm going to get at work, but that's excessive, and I have to do the right thing as a person. Police need to step up, and I think most of the time they do the right thing.
And an example I brought up in that side conversation was the movie American Gangster, where you know, there was the situation where this cop was finding a lot of drug money, and he turned it in. And all the other cops on the force were like, what are you doing? We're going to split that up. And so they started treating him poorly. And so you have to remember that for somebody like Jeff that would want to speak up, because there's obviously a lot of great cops that would speak up like yourself, but there's a consequence to that. And the consequence is severe. So we need to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Right. And Erica, chime in here. But before you do, I just want to make a correction to that the police testimonies. Minneapolis police chief is Madera Adonodo. All right, go ahead, Erica.
Yeah, you know, at this point, I think that because we all kind of feel in a certain way that we were at the scene of the crime, that we're really just waiting to see what the verdict is going to be, because it truly is a verdict on where our society is at this moment. Do we look at a murder, a man who was killed in front of our own eyes that we've all seen the video of, and say, well, the police was just doing his job? Or do we say that there's going to be accountability, and not just for this case, but for every case that follows it? And that's really what the verdict is. At this point, it's just about how we're going to decide to live our lives as a society.
Well said. There's a precedent here for sure. And we will be following the trial, so stay with us, DBL Nation. So a lot of you have been talking about this all weekend. Major League Baseball announced it's moving the All-Star game out of Georgia after the state passed a restrictive new voting law that critics say will make it harder to vote in the state's urban areas, particularly for black voters. So over the weekend, the Braves covered up the all-star patch that was on their uniforms. But on the other side, Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp is vowing not to back down after he signed the new law. Here's some of what he said in response to Major League Baseball's decision.
Yesterday, Major League Baseball caved to fear and lies from liberal activists. They ignored the facts of our new election integrity law, and they ignored the consequences of their decision on our local community. It means cancel culture and partisan activists are coming for your business. They're coming for your game or event in your hometown, and they're coming to cancel everything from sports to how you make a living.
Some Republicans are even calling for a boycott of baseball. So DBL Nation, we got to hear from you. I'm going to read your comments in just a moment. Do you support MLB's decision to move the game? Yes or no? Go to dblvote.com to weigh in. We are already receiving comments. What would you say, Al?
I'd say, yes, I definitely support them because, like I said, this isn't an issue really even about voting laws. We always get in this when we talk about cancel culture and we talk about how respond to them. But this is what we want as Americans. We trumpet capitalism. Socialism, if assigned to a candidate, is almost like the S word. So we love capitalism. But when a company says we don't want to associate our brand with whatever it is, whether it's the whether it's the voting laws, whether it's Tiger Woods getting a DUI and Buick pulling back, that's their decision. It's also your decision to not support the MLB. So this is a perfect situation. You have autonomy over where you show up, and the MLB has autonomy over where its games are played. I feel like it's a win-win. What are we doing here?
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying now, totally, but I'm going to push back in this sense. Take out what the MLB is fighting against, okay? Take out exactly what that is, because I agree with what they're fighting against. But I don't like Major League Baseball getting involved. Number one, they're turning down a lot of money coming to that city and state, right? You give away an all-star game. A lot of cities vie for that all-star game for the Super Bowl because it brings in a lot of income. They're now pushing this away, okay? And again, make sure this is clear. It's not that I'm fighting against what they're fighting against. I'm just saying in general. If you say Biden passed a COVID bill and there's underground tunnels in there to move from city to city, that has nothing to do with COVID. Now I can't watch the Bears play because the Bears don't agree with that bill. It's like I don't want professional sports getting involved with certain issues. And again, I'm not fighting the issue. I have to make that clear. I'm just saying I don't know if it's Major League Baseball's place to get involved.
See, I think it is their place. And again, I'm not pushing back on.
And again, not the issue.
I know. Believe me, I know. But Erica, and jump in here. I feel, and then I'm going to read comments after you. I feel that it is their platform and it is their influence, and good for them for wanting to somehow lay some sort of groundwork or make a statement based on what they believe is the right thing. I applaud them.
I agree with you, Sam. I think that it is really important that it goes up the ranks to an MLB because they control a certain degree of money, right? Those all-star games bring in between $40 and $60 million for the city that is hosting. So it's a really big deal. And if you want to make people listen, you have to go after their pockets. The problem with this, to what Jeff is kind of saying in some respect, is that there are going to be people who are affected by this bill and affected by the fact that MLB has pulled from Atlanta that, one, are already affected by the bill negatively as a voter, but also are going to be affected further financially. So those people become casualties of what's really happening, the greater picture. But I find it so interesting when we're talking about this bill in Georgia that a year ago, we referred to these workers as frontline workers. They were essential workers. These were the people that were the heroes because they couldn't work from home and they were brave enough to leave their homes and continue to go out and stimulate the economy. Now we're putting bans on them in order for them to be less likely to vote, because let's keep it very clear, this is direct to people of color as well as those who are considered lower quartile. So a lot of these people that are affected by the bill, by only being able to vote on a Saturday or a Sunday, or only being able to go in during regular business hours or office hours, are the people who are going to be affected. So they were essential workers, but now a year later, they're not essential voters.
And thank you, Erica. And really quickly, because I said I'd read your comments. Our comments are all over the board. Rick says moving the All-Star game from Atlanta does absolutely nothing. However, Mike Wilson says MLB deserves more kudos for moving the All-Star game. All right, and it looks like our, let's see, 55. Okay, we'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
The Verify team is here to make sure you have the facts, because not everything you see online is real. A viewer named Sue sent us this email. I just received an economic impact payment card. Is this real? She wanted us to verify whether these cards are legit. Here are our sources: the IRS.
They are legit.
And Henry Grez from the American Institute of CPAs, who says yes, these cards can be trusted.
It should be in an envelope coming from the mail to you, coming from the U.S. Treasury.
Here's exactly what the envelope will look like, according to the IRS. Note the seal for the Department of Treasury. And inside you'll find a card that looks like this. And don't be alarmed by the MetaBank label in the back. This is the Treasury's financial agent, so it's supposed to be there. According to the IRS, the last day to receive payments through direct deposit was March 24th. So now they're only coming through the mail, through either checks or these debit cards.
The card makes it easy to access your money for things like groceries.
These cards can be used online and at stores. You could transfer the money to another account. It could even be cashed out at an ATM. And as for concerns that the government will be able to track your purchases, our expert says this is false.
There's going to be no tracing of what you're buying or how you're spending.
So you don't have to use it responsibly. You could use this money on whatever you want.
That's right.
So we can verify that these debit cards are real, and the IRS says they're safe and secure. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. It has been 34 years since actress Marlee Matlin made history, becoming the first and still only deaf actor to win an Oscar for her groundbreaking role in Children of a Lesser God. Since then, she has starred in numerous TV shows, including The West Wing, Reasonable Doubts, The L Word, and Switched at Birth. Today, she joins us to talk about her new Oscar-nominated short film that she executive produced. Her interpreter, Jack Jason, is also with us off screen. Marlee, thank you for joining us here in DBL. We are huge fans. I want to start by talking.
Oh, thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
It's our pleasure. It's our honor. I want to start by talking about your groundbreaking role in Children of a Lesser God. You were just 19 when you were cast in that film and ended up winning an Oscar for Best Actress. Well-deserved. You were the youngest winner ever and first deaf actress to win the award. How did you handle that sudden fame at 19 years old?
Well, back then, there was no social media. Back then, there was no anything that would, terrify the hell out of me while the Oscar campaign was going on, because it was so different. I was nominated. Remember, I was in rehab when I was nominated. I had no idea about, what it entails to be on an Oscar campaign, about the dress, about all the stuff that you had to get, who's next to who. Now it's completely different. It's a little too much, but it's been an interesting ride. I have to tell you that it's way different from the, 34 years ago.
All right. Hey, Marlee, this is Al Jackson. Let's be honest. You are killing it right now. You are an executive producer on a new short film called Feeling Through. It's up for an Oscar this year. I watched it. I agree. It's also the first film to star a deaf-blind actor. Let's take a look.
young man.
Marley, I watched this movie, and I'll just tell you before I get to my question, it really hit me how it just showed me, because I look back at my life and I realized that a lot of times when I changed for the better, it was in a situation when I felt like people weren't looking. I feel like that's when you really decide what kind of person you're going to be, when you're able to either go the wrong way or the right way, but at the same time, you're kind of, no one's there to judge you, it's just you. And I saw that in this film. So what can you tell us about the film and why it was important to cast a deaf-blind actor in this role?
In all honesty, the film was already, I mean, it's based on a true story. The director, Doug Rowland, who, it happened to him. It happened to him. So he wrote about this experience in this fictionalized version of it. Meeting a deafblind gentleman in the night changed his perspective. It changed how he, saw his fellow human being. And in the film, Derrick is somebody, the homeless guy is somebody who can't find a place to stay for the night and is struggling to find a path. And he's sort of wallowing in his pity. And then suddenly there's a person there, a deafblind guy, that changes his life for the better. It probably happens to a lot of people where you have an encounter with somebody that is unexpected, that changes the path that you're on. And it becomes a learning experience. And I think it also gives you an opportunity to, do some self-examination. And I think the film does a really good job of that there are other people out there who can make your life better, who can, whether they're asking you for help or whether they're somebody on the street who is homeless or somebody even who lives across the street. It's all about the connection of two people. It's all about humanity.
Loved it.
Marley, Jeff here. Thank you so much for being on DBL. But I have this great question for you. We've been having a conversation about quote unquote actors with disabilities, right? Should they play their different roles? So the actor Riz Ahmed is up for an Oscar, I should say, for playing a man who goes deaf. How do you feel about non-disabled actors playing characters with disabilities?
Well, for example, in Children of Lesser God, I was a deaf person acting as a deaf person, and the role happened to be deaf. That's called authenticity, okay? Authenticity is the big word in Hollywood these days, the capital A. All these years, people really haven't realized how important it is to have an actor who happens to have a disability play a role with a disability. There's so many actors out there who, I mean, listen, all these years that we've had, I'm never going to discount a role that somebody has taken on. But I think it's time that we should look at the deaf actors, the deaf-blind actors, the disabled actors in Hollywood, in our community, who can write, who can direct, and who can act, and that we shouldn't assume disability is a costume that one puts on or takes off. So I'm really excited that a lot of people now are realizing that Hollywood is talking about that, and they're collaborating with our community, working together, and making more beautiful work because it's authentic.
So I'm glad that you feel relief, right, Marley, that you've seen some progress in Hollywood, but do you feel that there has been enough progress in terms of diversity, not only in front of the camera, but also behind the camera in Hollywood?
I mean, there's always work to do. There's always work to do. And certainly we aren't just going to sit back and stay quiet. Our community is very vocal, whether we're talking about with our voices or with our hands. There are some films, I think, that are out there that you will still see every once in a while where disability is like a costume that an actor puts on and takes off. But I think it's important to open a dialogue, to have a conversation, and do what we can to make progress. And again, if we're talking about writers, directors, whatever it may be.
Incredible. You really are not only an incredible actor, but now an executive producer, an activist. We are so appreciative of you. Thank you for coming on DBL. And also to all of our viewers, you can watch her new Oscar-nominated short film, Feeling Through, on YouTube. It. Yes, we highly recommend it. Thank you so much, Marley.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Interest in the COVID-19 vaccine is plummeting among young people. So how does that impact our chances of stopping the spread? Let's connect the dots. At the beginning of the pandemic, Gen Z was more eager than any other age group to get the vaccine. An NBC News Morning Consult poll from March of 2020 showed only 5% of young people plan to skip their shot. Fast forward to 2021, that number has jumped to 26%. So what happened? First of all, states across the country started easing their restrictions. That meant college kids have been able to go to class, party at bars, even travel for spring break, meaning their lives are a lot closer to normal this semester. Some Gen Zers also say they're less concerned about COVID now that older people can get the vaccine. If grandma and grandpa are protected, they don't see why it's necessary for them to get the shot too, especially since symptoms are often less severe for young people. The doctors are warning that this is the wrong mentality to have. The virus can still have long-term effects on young people, and if Gen Z does not get vaccinated, we will likely never reach herd immunity. As long as the virus has someone else to infect, it will keep spreading. And that is connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads will have you asking, what am I thankful for? Watch as a mother of 4 holds her newborn baby boy for the first time months after she gave birth following a COVID diagnosis.
After COVID forced her to give birth in a coma, this mom finally held her baby. Daisy Marcillo was hospitalized with COVID in January. She was on a ventilator and in a coma while 29 weeks pregnant. Doctors had to perform an emergency surgery C-section to save her son Ragnar. He weighed just 3 pounds, but miraculously survived. Her extended family desperately prayed for the mother of 5. Though her damaged lungs will likely need oxygen permanently, Daisy was finally cleared to go home months after contracting COVID.
I'm happy. I survived. It's a miracle.
She was able to hold her baby boy for the first time since January.
That's the first time holding my baby. It's amazing. It's amazing to be here. I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
What a beautiful story. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
watching Derrick Chauvin's murder trial, and we're getting a lot of questions. Claudia asks, is there a reason why Chauvin isn't handcuffed in court? Let's verify.
Why isn't Derrick Chauvin handcuffed in court? Our sources, Minnesota state law and a legal expert. Minnesota's criminal procedure lays out the rules and rights for defendants. Rule 2603 says, during trial, the defendant must be seated to permit effective consultation with defense counsel and to see and hear the proceedings, and they must not appear in the distinctive attire of a prisoner. That's why you see Derrick Chauvin in a suit next to his lawyer, Eric Nelson. As for why he's not handcuffed, the rules say defendants must not be subjected to physical restraint while in court unless the court finds the restraint necessary to maintain order or security, and states the reason for the restraints on the record outside the hearing of the jury.
The decision not to handcuff a defendant is a standard aspect of the defendant's right to a fair trial.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
It is easier to presume someone is guilty if they are in chains or if they are in jail or prison attire. And so courts don't let those things happen.
In this case, the court hasn't ordered any restraints for Chauvin, who was released from jail last October after posting a $1 million bond.
The protection he receives is actually the same as every other murder defendant, unless they're showing that they're physically a threat in the courtroom. The judge cannot handcuff someone.
In the rare situation where a defendant is handcuffed, state law says the judge must instruct the jury that the restraint must not be considered in reaching the verdict.
What they're doing in Minnesota is standard procedure in pretty much every court in the United States.
So we can verify, Chauvin isn't wearing handcuffs in court because state law entitles him not to appear with restraints during the trial unless there's a safety concern. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Lots of comments in regard to Georgia. So Earl says corporations that care about voting rights in Georgia should give every worker a paid day off of their choice to vote. And then we have here, sports donates millions to political campaigns. So why are politicians now mad when they have political sway? That is Audrey. If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and be part of our DBL Nation. But if you're sticking around, here's what's coming up.
I'm sticking around.
Kate Winslet is getting real about the homophobia that still exists in Hollywood. Plus, people of color win big at the Screen Actors Guild Awards. And a big thank you to our coworkers watching from home right now. We miss you all. DBL is new every day, and we will be right back.
is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Al. Erica joins us from home, so let's get started. Last night, the Screen Actors Guild Awards were handed out. Like many pandemic award shows, the nominees appeared remotely. But unlike past shows, this one was pre-taped and only 1 hour long. Still, the SAGs made history handing out the top film acting awards to people of color. Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman won for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and Daniel Kaluuya and Ewan won the, sorry, let me take that back because I want to make sure I pronounce both of these names properly.
You nailed it.
Daniel Kaluuya and Ewan won the supporting actors categories, and Catherine O'Hara, oh yeah, she became the 4th actress to sweep all 5 major TV awards in a single season with her win for playing my favorite, Moira Rose, on Schitt's Creek. Erica, what did you make about the history that took place at the SAG Awards?
Well, first, Sam, I just want to commend you because you took your time, you got those names right, and we are here for that.
Thank you.
So thank you. I also feel like this is such a wonderful time in history in general, just because we've really decided that representation matters, and the right type of representation. You know, like, we're really giving credit where credit is due based on the artistry. I know a lot of people are having conversations about the idea that it's all done via Zoom and it's virtual. Does it change the dynamics? And while I've never received an award at an award show, I have received one virtually, and I'm just going to tell you right here, right now, it's about the culmination of your work. Whether there's a million people around you or it's just you, your dog, and your husband, it means something. So I am here for it all.
Yeah, I mean, I look at this, Eric, because I know that everybody's saying that, well, people didn't watch the SAG Awards. Look, a lot of people watch award shows for different reasons. It's like if they took the Super Bowl and they cut it up where there was no, pregame, no halftime, no commercials. And so the people that will watch just the game are the Super Bowl junkies, the guys that just love football. With the SAG, this is for the movie nerds. The people are like, I'm into movies. I followed this person's career. So it's like, it's going to be down. But I think the people that watched it for the right reasons.
I like the 1 hour.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are getting, listen, this is just me. I think people are getting tired of award shows. There's too many of them, right? So they're trying to cut it down an hour to get more eyeballs on there. But I think people are tired of the pandemic as well, right? We want to get back to normal. We want to see all the celebrities together. We want to be there together. So I think people are just fatigued in general. Also, there was no Brad and Jen moment.
Do you remember last year?
Yeah, last
Did we
year.
have the picture from last year?
It wasn't about who won. It was about that moment right there.
I remember that moment. Yes, I do. All right, so also last night on American Idol, while Katy Perry was judging a contestant, she revealed that she ditched her razor since becoming a new mom. Have a look.
And as a new mother, I don't have very much time, so I've quit shaving my legs. But when you sang, the hair on my legs grew 1.5 inches. So, full body chills. Oh, wow.
Katy later poked fun at her lack of grooming by posting an animated look at her leg hair. I so can relate to this. Listen, I love me a good shower where I can scrub everything, shave everything, the whole 9 yards. But when you have no time, Al, how dare you?
I'm listening.
You have a grimace on your face.
That's just the way I look, Sam. I'm not an attractive man.
Okay, it's really hard to take a shower with 2 kids. And if it really is, it's tough to have time without one of them in the bathroom. You know, Jeff, you can't even go to the bathroom by yourself.
I show up here every day and I shave my face.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I have 2 kids.
Okay, well, maybe you're not taking care of the kids as much as I am then, because I don't have time to regularly shave my legs, and that's a fact.
All right.
Erica?
I mean, I forget to shave my legs all the time, and we are dinks. That's dual income, no kids.
Listen, let me have a serious conversation. Take the pregnancy out of it because that's not fair. Of course you don't have to shave your legs during pregnancy. Afterwards, though, if my wife tells me, I don't want you to have a beard, I'll shave my beard. Why is it so sexist if I'm like, listen, could you do me a favor? You got to shave your legs because I don't like it. I don't like it. One man to their wife, can I say that?
I think it's probably quicker to
your
shave a
answer
beard.
was no. Your
Well,
answer
no,
was no.
I don't think it's sexist because I believe in preferences, and I think it's totally fine for your wife to say, I don't like it when you have a beard, or you say, you know, I like you to look a certain way.
Not look, shave.
Okay, but it takes a long time to shave legs. It's really hard to shave legs when I have two
What are we talking
kids.
about in terms of times? Because guys don't know. So how long would you say?
To shave your legs
Yes.
properly? Maybe like 2 minutes.
Okay.
What?
I had your back. I thought you can put a 0 behind that. 2 minutes.
Dude, I don't have enough.
I
Moms
know,
out
but
there
like-
and a lot of dads don't have enough time to really sit down and enjoy a meal, let alone get in the shower and shave every day. I'm not saying once a week. Do you have to shave your beard every single day? Oh, you do? All right. Well, I feel Katy Perry there, 1,000%.
I think a lot of women do. That's why I was genuinely curious.
think it just
obviously
hasn't
I've raised
become a
kids. I know how it
priority.
is. It's scary to be in the bathroom when they're not there.
No, they're there.
You bring them in?
They follow me everywhere. Even when Mark's like, yeah, go do your thing, take a shower, they find me. They want to be around me. Jordan knows that.
But it's okay to have that conversation. Listen, if you want hairy legs and hairy everything,
I don't
you're
think
a woman,
she does.
go for it. I don't care if you look like Sasquatch. My wife, I don't want that, right? If she doesn't want something for me, I'm going to change. I think you could have that relationship and talk about that without being labeled as sexist on national television like
I think
people
all
are writing in
couples
right now.
have those conversations. Maybe not everyone's as honest as you are. So thank you for your honesty. It's true.
That's not a
Country singer Maren Morris is embracing her body after giving birth to her son last year. She posted this pic on Instagram, writing that she is never going to try to get her body back again. She added that she didn't lose it like a set of keys, and that the pressure on mothers to snap back is insurmountable and deeply troublesome. New mom Mandy Moore agreed. She wrote, "Snapback culture is insane. Thanks for this," in the comments.
Want me to step in it some more?
Go,
I'll
please.
go for it. Listen, I think I don't know one person, again, and I'm only speaking for me, my group of friends, and I don't know anybody who puts pressure on any pregnant woman after what we as a father just saw them go through about losing their weight. I think a lot of women put that pressure on themselves, or society puts that pressure on them. Because
I
as
agree.
a father, there is no way I would ever tell my wife, you need to get rid of that weight. I might tell you to shave your legs because
Jeff,
I like
I'm
it
gonna say
during
this.
sexy time.
You have taken a lot for your stance on the dad bod. Whenever some story comes out where everybody's like, "Oh, we like dad bods better," I am telling you, I cannot speak for all men, but I will say, of the many men that I've met, they do not mind a little extra weight. They don't mind. I've never sat at a bar or restaurant watching the game and somebody's like, "My wife's disgusting now." I've never heard a guy say that. And I do think a lot of that, that's why the movie Mean Girls, I think, resonated so much. A lot of the pressure comes from you guys. And it's not fair, whoever it's coming from, but I don't want to speak on that, so please do.
No, I agree with the both of you. I do think that for my own partner and watching how you are with, with your children, you've only been supportive to Jordan and to other women who've been pregnant around you. I do think that society places almost like an indoctrination on women, where you have your kid, you bounce back, you snap back, you gotta lose the weight, you gotta get your summer bod back. And a lot of women feel that pressure. I know I felt that pressure, especially right after I had Miles, and I knew that I had to get back on air.
But where did you feel the pressure from?
I think this is an indoctrination from society. Never from my husband, never from my peers.
Not anyone personal that you know. So it's so weird how this is such a big part of society and culture.
But I think it's magazines,
when people, you're right, but
Barbie.
no one in any conversation that a normal person has ever brings this up. Right? Isn't it kind of weird how it's such a big deal?
I think it's just through historically speaking, Erica. What do you make of it?
Well, yeah, there's certainly a reason why women have felt this way for so long, is because it has been constantly perpetuated by society, by who is celebrated, who's not celebrated, who's accelerated, who is decelerated. There's a box, there's a template for all of it, and we're either consciously or subconsciously giving the keys to success and admiration through who we're praising and why we're praising them. Now, I don't think these are people or images that are undeserving of praise for some things, but it's like there's a hierarchy. Why does there have to be a hierarchy where this is at the top and then everyone else at the bottom are minimized? Like, it's just a spectrum to me. And I think when we're talking about pregnant women, that's when we're really trying to be a little bit more empathetic, some of us, because we understand that that's like how the world evolves, by bringing new people into it. And there's a woman who has to do that. So I think we get a little bit more sensitive, as we should, about it, but we really should kind of expand that grace and sensitivity to everyone.
Let me put a button on this for everybody. If you're a man saying this about a woman, you watch a woman give birth, and you will never, ever speak those words ever again.
Well
I
said,
watched
Jeff.
it. That was a different man.
Well said, both of you. Try doing it. Ooh!
No.
Okay, so Massimo Giannoli was released from prison early. Wow, Massimo was released ahead of his 5-month sentence in time for Easter. My goodness. Okay, so do we know, producers, what his total time served was? They're going to find out for me.
Did you watch the Netflix documentary?
Yeah, I did.
It was pretty good.
Very good.
What was the name of that? I forgot. They could find that out too.
Admission scandal, college admission scandal. Yes. So you can watch a whole documentary on the college admission scandal and exactly all the different families involved, including Massimo's family, to learn more about it. I was just told by our producer he served 2 months. Do you think that's a stiff enough sentence?
2 out of 5.
Dude, the guy who started the whole thing isn't even in jail yet. So how about that?
I don't think he will be in jail because he turned everybody else in.
Erica, what do you think? Because you seem to enjoy this.
Oh, no, I was just fascinated by this documentary and how much we really kind of already knew. But I think it's the actual watching of these were actual conversations from tapped phone lines that they were just reenacting. And some of the things that were said is like, it's mind blowing.
Erica,
I mean,
can you
it's not
tell us
shocking,
really quickly one thing that stood out to you? Can you tell us one thing from the conversation that stood out?
Well, some of the parents referring to how their children weren't that bright and they needed to do this in order to get them into college, and they didn't want them to know. Some of them, the kids were in on it, but they were having these really oh, well, she's not as smart as the older one. Yo.
It was for the parents, not for the kids.
Yes, it was definitely for the parents and their clout, which is ridiculous and shameful. But I just got a correction. He did serve nearly 5 months. The rest of his time will be at home. So there you go. Okay. I don't know where the 2 months came from.
Yeah, I read an article that said that they couldn't really tell where he was. He's kind of in a halfway house, but they didn't know where he was for these last couple of days. It's a very strange story.
Okay.
I read up on this, and you look at me like we're talking about it, and just walk up to you in a bus stop and start talking about
I hope
him.
you have multiple sources to back that up.
Yeah.
So we don't.
I have several websites.
Our facts would have been a little better had I known this story was going to be in here. What's the name of that movie?
I think they just snuck
I know, because it's very timely. That's why we sound like idiots talking about it.
I've read, and
Sam is looking at me
I would have did a
crazy.
little more research on it.
I just hope you have sources, is all I'm saying.
You think I'm making this up?
No, I don't think you're making it up.
I do.
Coming up on DBL, Egypt's royal history on parade. But will these mummies reignite the infamous Pharaoh's curse? Plus, Kate Winslet is shining a new light on an old problem, homophobia in Hollywood, and how it is affecting men. And our DBL staff is working hard at home during the pandemic when COVID is behind us. We hopefully will all be reunited in the studio. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
The Verify team is here to make sure you have the facts, because not everything you see online is real. A viewer named Sue sent us this email. I just received an economic impact payment card. Is this real? She wanted us to verify whether these cards are legit. Here are our sources: the IRS.
They are legit.
And Henry Grez from the American Institute of CPAs, who says yes, these cards can be trusted.
It should be in an envelope coming from the mail to you, coming from the U.S. Treasury.
Here's exactly what the envelope will look like, according to the IRS. Note the seal for the Department of Treasury. And inside, you'll find a card that looks like this. And don't be alarmed by the MetaBank label in the back. This is the Treasury's financial agent, so it's supposed to be there. According to the IRS, the last day to receive payments through direct deposit was March 24th. So now they're only coming through the the mail through either checks or these debit cards.
The card makes it easy to access your money for things like groceries.
These cards can be used online and at stores. You could transfer the money to another account. It can even be cashed out at an ATM. And as for concerns that the government will be able to track your purchases, our expert says this is false.
There's going to be no tracing of what you're buying or how you're spending.
So you don't have to use it responsibly. You could use this money on whatever you want.
That's right.
So we can verify that these debit cards are real, and the IRS says they're safe and secure. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Thanks to Kate Winslet, the conversation about gay actors playing straight roles is trending. Kate told the Sunday Times she knows at least 4 well-known actors who are not public about their sexuality. She claims their worry is that they will not be considered for straight roles. Kate also thinks this applies more to men in Hollywood than women. Wow. Erica, what do you think of actors hiding their sexuality? And should gay actors be able to play straight roles? Obviously they should, but what do you make of that?
Yeah, we've had this conversation, and I think it's more complex than where we're really going with it, because I think at the genesis of it, it's the idea that these roles that were specifically made for majority actors, let's say, are now. So it's basically like the need of the roles versus who wants to go for the roles. So if you're a straight actor and you're trying to go for a role, there's a million straight acting roles you can go for. But if you're a gay actor and you're going for a straight role, there is this like pressure against you. But then when you get like I was going to say something else, but when you, I've had this conversation with 3 different people, but then when you get a gay role, then it goes to a straight actor, and it's like, okay, well, you had a million different roles that you could have gone for, but now you're going to go for the only role out of like 5 out of a million that I could have gone for. So I can understand the frustration behind it, is basically what I'm saying.
I just think it's kind of ironic because when I see Hollywood, I see very progressive, very liberal, and then you bring up this conversation, so it's kind of weird to have this. I'm all for everybody playing whatever role they are because it's all about numbers at the box office. People don't know, but you have to invest $50 million if you're going to make a $100 million movie per se, right? So you need someone that can carry that weight to get you those ticket sales. But then we just talked to Marlee Matlin, and she's like, well, how is she supposed to play another role because she can't speak and she's deaf? So it's like, now I'm like torn because we just talked to her and I understand where she's coming from, but I think the best actor for the role. So it is a complex conversation.
It is a complex conversation, and to your point, you did mention something that stood out to me. You mentioned how like inclusive Hollywood is. No matter how inclusive Hollywood is, they still have to abide to the rest of America, because you talked about that number. The rest of the world. The rest of the world. And it's a shame, so they might be scared, or maybe they're going off of actual data where they feel like that if we found out that Tom Cruise, and this is just me saying this, I'm not alleging anything, but if we found out that Tom Cruise is not straight, would they be fearful that most Americans or certain Americans would not go to the box office to see him play in Mission Impossible 3? And I would hope so. But
he's on like 8 now, by the way.
Oh. Mission Impossible 10.
I'll say the same. Obviously this country has a long way to go in terms of how we view homosexuality, but we've come a long way, baby. Like Virginia Slim, I'm very proud of the progress. We have a long way to go. But the rest of the world, that is still a no-go. So if you're trying to sell movies across the world, which is how you make your money, and there are certain regions of the world where that's like that actor will not be shown, it's something to think about as an investor, and
to-
that's what causes the pushback, unfortunately.
But I think that
Not saying it's right.
But of course, but I think that they may be pleasantly surprised, just like they saw with Crazy Rich Asians, just like they saw with a number of different big blockbuster films that have broken through that a lot of people did not think would turn out money at the box office. We'll be right back.
Interest in the COVID-19 vaccine is plummeting among young people. So how does that impact our chances of stopping the spread? Let's connect the dots. At the beginning of the pandemic, Gen Z was more eager than any other age group to get the vaccine. An NBC News Morning Consult poll from March of 2020 showed only 5% of young people plan to skip their shot. Fast forward to 2021, that number has jumped to 26%. So what happened? First of all, states across the country started easing their restrictions. That meant college kids have been able to go to class, party at bars, even travel for spring break, meaning their lives are a lot closer to normal this semester. Some Gen Zers also say they're less concerned about COVID now that older people can get the vaccine. If grandma and grandpa are protected, they don't see why it's necessary for them to get the shot too, especially since symptoms are often less severe for young people. The doctors are warning that this is the wrong mentality to have. The virus can still have long-term effects on young people, and if Gen Z does not get vaccinated, we will likely never reach herd immunity. As long as the virus has someone else to infect, it will keep spreading. And that is connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. So over the weekend, Egypt held a golden parade. They moved 22 of its prized royal mummies. They went from central Cairo to their new resting place in a massive new museum. The ceremony included climate-controlled cases loaded onto trucks decorated with wings and Egyptian designs. They also had people on horseback, along with all sorts of fanfare for the royals who were originally buried 3,000 years ago. But some are worried that moving the mummies will trigger an ancient curse. The curse of the pharaohs that was written on Tutankhamun's tomb, aka King Tut. It reads, "Death will come on quick wings for those who disturb the king's peace." In fact, they're pointing to recent disasters in the area, including the ship that blocked the Suez Canal, a deadly train crash, and more as examples of the curse in action.
Were there any examples that happened in Egypt?
The Suez Canal is right there near Egypt.
It's not right. It's not in Egypt.
Yeah, but it impacted Egypt.
If the Nile River dried up, then we're talking.
Aren't bad things happening all the time?
Egyptians could...
You could associate anything that happens bad to that.
Why?
Bad things are going to happen. That's the way.
Like, for example, Erica, Sam was mean to me on the show today.
When was
so
I
then
mean
if I
to
say
you?
that I'm going to unleash a curse, and then there's a fender bender right outside the studio, I'd be like, that's the curse right there. Like, I'm not worried about this curse. Erica, talk to me.
I don't believe you.
Y'all brave.
Yeah, I'm with you,
Y'all
Erica.
brave.
Let me put this.
Y'all far more.
Hey, I didn't move the tomb.
Let me put this on you, Al.
Okay.
Erica, let's pretend Al is about to move into a new home. And he comes to us and he says, I just found out that there are a bunch of graves underneath my home, and some of the graves have curses written on them. Would you still move into that home,
Yes,
Al?
graves is better foundational support for the house.
You
I don't believe in spirits.
That's amazing, Al. Move into your house, none of us are going to visit. That's cool.
We'll be right back.
Spooky.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by...
So,
watching Derrick Chauvin's murder trial, and we're getting a lot of questions. Claudia asks, is there a reason why Chauvin isn't handcuffed in court? Let's verify. Why isn't Derrick Chauvin handcuffed in court? Our sources, Minnesota state law and a legal expert. Minnesota's criminal procedure lays out the rules and rights for defendants. Rule 2603 says, during trial, the defendant must be seated to permit effective consultation with defense counsel and to see and hear the proceedings, and they must not appear in the distinctive attire of a prisoner. That's why you see Derrick Chauvin in a suit next to his lawyer, Eric Nelson. As for why he's not handcuffed, the rules say defendants must not be subjected to physical restraint while in court unless the court finds the restraint necessary to maintain order or security, and states the reason for the restraints on the record outside the hearing of the jury.
The decision not to handcuff a defendant is a standard aspect of the defendant's right to a fair trial.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
It is easier to presume someone is guilty if they are in chains or if they are in jail or prison attire. And so courts don't let those things happen.
In this case, the court hasn't ordered any restraints for Chauvin, who was released from jail last October after posting a $1 million bond.
The protection he receives is actually the same as every other murder defendant, unless they're showing that they're physically a threat in the courtroom. The judge cannot handcuff someone.
In the rare situation where a defendant is handcuffed, state law says the judge must instruct the jury that the restraint must not be considered in reaching the verdict.
What they're doing in Minnesota is standard procedure in pretty much every court in the United States.
So we can verify, Chauvin isn't wearing handcuffs in court because state law entitles him not to appear with restraints during the trial unless there's a safety concern. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Okay, so I just received this comment on Twitter from I'm Jack's mama. I feel you, Sam Shocker. My son has walked past his father, gone into the bathroom while I'm showering, pulled back the curtain to hand me a bag of fruit snacks for me to open for him. I know.
Fruit snacks are a parent's life.
Yep, DBL is new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Here's what we're talking about today on Daily Blast Live.
Week 2 of the murder trial for Derrick Chauvin is underway, with Minneapolis's first black police chief testifying today. What will he say about his own officer who he fired? A big controversy in Georgia as Major League Baseball moves its All-Star game out of Atlanta in response to the state's new voting law. DBL Nation, are you for it or against it? History-making moments at the SAG Awards. We're talking all about the night's biggest winners.
Oh my goodness!
And Academy Award-winning actress Marlee Matlin is live on DBL today, sharing the deets about her groundbreaking new movie.
Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It is Monday, April 5th. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Al. Erica joins us from home. Let's get right to it because it is the start of week 2 for the Derrick Chauvin trial, and we've got some big testimony today. Minneapolis Police Chief Madera Adonodo, the chief who fired Derrick Chauvin for his actions, is taking the stand for the prosecution. He's expected to testify about police training and tactics, saying that what Chauvin did was not proper protocol or necessary. Part of the reason that this is such a big deal is that typically police officers do not speak out against another member of law enforcement, but now we have a police chief testifying against his own officer. Do you think that that will influence the jury, Al?
Yes. I mean, I don't know how much influence is happening at this point. This is kind of something that we all saw. When I say all, I mean the world. But I do think it sets a bigger precedent in terms of police reform. And hopefully it'll show people that when people talk about police reform, we're just really trying to catch them up with every other job. There were things that reporters did in the 1980s that would be make you aghast right now. Everything updates, and I don't think police should be absolved from that in terms of like their behavior and their conduct and being able to check. I don't do anything wrong. If you want to go through my behavior every single day, I'm fine with that, and I'd like to see the same accountability from every profession, including a police officer.
Yeah, we talked about this on Friday, Al, me and you during the break. We never got to the story, but our point was, I believe a commander, someone else from the police department testified, and now we have the supervisor, the chief testifying. My point was, I'm like, everyone saw this, and he said, you know, if he stopped being combative, you stop with your force. I'm like, that's obvious. And this guy's like, they didn't need that excessive force. And Al was like, well, if you're on the police force, that blue wall, you got to stick up for your people. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I would say the right thing for my family, for my friends, the way my parents raised me. I'd say that's excessive force. If I was that guy's superior, I would say that's excessive. Blue line or not blue line, I'll take what I'm going to get at work, but that's excessive, and I have to do the right thing as a person. Police need to step up, and I think most of the time they do the right thing.
And the example I brought up in that side conversation was the movie American Gangster, where you know, there was the situation where this cop was finding a lot of drug money, and he turned it in. And all the other cops on the force were like, what are you doing? We're going to split that up. And so they started treating him poorly. And so you have to remember that for somebody like Jeff that would want to speak up, because there's obviously a lot of great cops that would speak up like yourself, but there's a consequence to that. And the consequence is severe. So we need to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Right. And Erica, chime in here. But before you do, I just want to make a correction to that the police testimonies. Minneapolis police chief is Madera Arredondo. All right, go ahead, Erica.
Yeah, you know, at this point, I think that because we all kind of feel in a certain way that we were at the scene of the crime, that we're really just waiting to see what the verdict is going to be, because it truly is a verdict on where our society is at this moment. Do we look at a murder, a man who was killed in front of our own eyes that we've all seen the video of, and say, well, the police was just doing his job, or do we say that there's going to be accountability, and not just for this case, but for every case that follows it? And that's really what the verdict is. At this point, it's just about how we're going to decide to live our lives as a society.
Well said. There's a precedent here for sure. And we will be following the trial, so stay with us, DBL Nation. So a lot of you have been talking about this all weekend. Major League Baseball announced it's moving the All-Star Game out of Georgia after the state passed a restrictive new voting law that critics say will make it harder to vote in the state's urban areas, particularly for black voters. So over the weekend, the Braves covered up the All-Star patch that was on their uniforms. But on the other side, Georgia's Governor Brian Kemp is vowing not to back down after he signed the new law. Here's some of what he said in response to Major League Baseball's decision.
Yesterday, Major League Baseball caved to fear and lies from liberal activists. They ignored the facts of our new election integrity law, and they ignored the consequences of their decision on our local community. It means cancel culture and partisan activists are coming for your business. They're coming for your game or event in your hometown. And they're coming to cancel everything from sports to how you make a living.
Some Republicans are even calling for a boycott of baseball. So DBL Nation, we got to hear from you. I'm going to read your comments in just a moment. Do you support MLB's decision to move the game? Yes or no? Go to dblvote.com to weigh in. We are already receiving comments. What would you say, Al?
I'd say, yes, I definitely support them because, like I said, this isn't an issue really even about voting laws. We always get in this when we talk about cancel culture and we talk about how corporations respond to them. But this is what we want as Americans. We trumpet capitalism. Socialism, if assigned to a candidate, is almost like the S word. So we love capitalism. But when a company says we don't want to associate our brand with whatever it is, whether it's the whether it's the voting laws, whether it's Tiger Woods getting a DUI and Buick pulling back, that's their decision. It's also your decision to not support the MLB. So this is a perfect situation. You have autonomy over where you show up, and the MLB has autonomy over where its games are played. I feel like it's a win-win. What are we doing here?
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying now, totally, but I'm going to push back in this sense. Take out what the MLB is fighting against, okay? Take out exactly what that is, because I agree with what they're fighting against. But I don't like Major League Baseball getting involved. Number one, they're turning down a lot of money coming to that city and state, right? You give away an All-Star game, a lot of cities vie for that All-Star game for the Super Bowl because it brings in a lot of income. They're now pushing this away, okay? And again, make sure this is clear. It's not that I'm fighting against what they're fighting against. I'm just saying in general. If you say Biden passed a COVID bill and there's underground tunnels in there to move from city to city, that has nothing to do with COVID. Now I can't watch the Bears play because the Bears don't agree with that bill. It's like I don't want professional sports getting involved with certain issues. And again, I'm not fighting the issue. I have to make that clear. I'm just saying I don't know if it's Major League Baseball's place to get involved.
See, I think it is their place. And again, I'm not pushing back on.
And again, not the issue.
I know. Believe me, I know. But Erica, and jump in here, I feel, and then I'm going to read comments after you, I feel that it is their platform and it is their influence, and good for them for wanting to somehow lay some sort of groundwork or make a statement based on what they believe is the right thing. I applaud them.
I agree with you, Sam. I think that it is really important that it goes up the ranks to an MLB because they control a certain degree of money, right? Those All-Star games bring in between $40 and $60 million for the city that is hosting. So it's a really big deal. And if you want to make people listen, you have to go after their pockets. The problem with this, to what Jeff is kind of saying in some respect, is that there are going to be people who are affected by this bill and affected by the fact that MLB has pulled from Atlanta that, one, are already affected by the bill negatively as a voter, but also are going to be affected further financially. So those people become casualties of what's really happening, the greater picture. But I find it so interesting when we're talking about this bill in Georgia that a year ago, we referred to these workers as frontline workers. They were essential workers. These were the people that were the heroes because they couldn't work from home and they were brave enough to leave their homes and continue to go out and stimulate the economy. Now we're putting bans on them in order for them to be less likely to vote, because let's keep it very clear. This is direct to people of color as well as those who are considered lower quartile. So a lot of these people that are affected by the bill, by only being able to vote on a Saturday or a Sunday, or only being able to go in during regular business hours or office hours, are the people who are going to be affected. So they were essential workers, but now a year later, they're not essential voters.
And thank you, Erica. And really quickly, because I said I'd read your comments, our comments are all over the board. Rick says moving the All-Star game from Atlanta does absolutely nothing. However, Mike Wilson says MLB deserves more kudos for moving the All-Star game. All right, and it looks like our, let's see, 55. Okay, we'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
Verify team is here to make sure you have the facts, because not everything you see online is real. A viewer named Sue sent us this email. I just received an economic impact payment card. Is this real? She wanted us to verify whether these cards are legit. Here are sources: the IRS.
They are legit.
And Henry Grez from the American Institute of CPAs, who says yes, these cards can be trusted.
It should be in an envelope coming from the mail to you, coming from the U.S. Treasury.
Here's exactly what the envelope will look like, according to the IRS. Note the seal for the Department of Treasury. And inside you'll find a card that looks like this. And don't be alarmed by the MetaBank label in the back. This is the Treasury's financial agent, so it's supposed to be there. According to the IRS, the last day to receive payments through direct deposit was March 24th. So now they're only coming through the mail, through either checks or these debit cards.
The card makes it easy to access your money for things like groceries.
These cards can be used online and at stores. You could transfer the money to another account. It could even be cashed out at an ATM. And as for concerns that the government will be able to track your purchases, our expert says this is false.
There's going to be no tracing of what you're buying or how you're spending.
So you don't have to use it responsibly. You could use this money on whatever you want.
That's right.
So we could verify that these debit cards are real, and the IRS says they're safe and secure. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. It has been 34 years since actress Marlee Matlin made history, becoming the first and still only deaf actor to win an Oscar for her groundbreaking role in Children of a Lesser God. Since then, she has starred in numerous TV shows, including The West Wing, Reasonable Doubts, The L Word, and Switched at Birth. Today, she joins us to talk about her new Oscar-nominated short film that she executive produced. Her interpreter, Jack Jason, is also with us off screen. Marlee, thank you for joining us here in DBL. We are huge fans. I want to start by talking.
Oh, thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
It's our pleasure. It's our honor. I want to start by talking about your groundbreaking role in Children of a Lesser God. You were just 19 when you were cast in that film and ended up winning an Oscar for Best Actress. Well-deserved. You were the youngest winner ever and first deaf actress to win the award. How did you handle that sudden fame at 19 years old?
Well, back then, there was no social media. Back then, there was no anything that would, terrify the hell out of me while the Oscar campaign was going on, because it was so different. I was nominated. Remember, I was in rehab when I was nominated. I had no idea about, what it entails to be on an Oscar campaign, about the dress, about all the stuff that you had to get, who's next to who now. it's completely different. It's a little too much, but it's been an interesting ride. I have to tell you that it's way different from the 34 years ago.
All right. Hey, Marley, this is Al Jackson. Let's be honest. You are killing it right now. You are an executive producer on a new short film called Feeling Through. It's up for an Oscar this year. I watched it. I agree. It's also the first film to star a deaf-blind actor. Let's take a look.
Young man.
Marley, I watched this movie, and I'll just tell you before I get to my question, it really hit me how it just showed me, because I look back at my life and I realized that a lot of times when I changed for the better, it was in a situation when I felt like people weren't looking. I feel like that's when you really decide what kind of person you're going to be, when you're able to either go the wrong way or the right way, but at the same time, you're kind of, no one's there to judge you, it's just you. And I saw that in this film. So what can you tell us about the film and why it was important to cast a deaf-blind actor in this role?
In all honesty, the film was already, I mean, it's based on a true story. The director, Doug Rowland, who, it happened to him. It happened to him. So he wrote about this experience in this fictionalized version of it. Meeting a deaf-blind gentleman in the night changed his perspective. It changed how he, saw his fellow human being. And in the film, Derrick is somebody, the homeless guy is somebody who can't find a place to stay for the night and is struggling to find a path. And he's sort of wallowing in his pity. And then suddenly there's a person there, a deaf-blind guy, that changes his life for the better. It probably happens to a lot of people where you have an encounter with somebody that is unexpected, that changes the path that you're on. And it becomes a learning experience. And I think it also gives you an opportunity to, do some self-examination. And I think the film does a really good job of that there are other people out there who can make your life better, who can, whether they're asking you for help or whether they're somebody on the street who is homeless or somebody even who lives across the street. It's all about the connection of two people. It's all about humanity.
Loved it.
Marley, Jeff here. Thank you so much for being on DBL. But I have this great question for you. We've been having a conversation about quote unquote actors with disabilities, right? Should they play their different roles? So the actor Riz Ahmed is up for an Oscar, I should say, for playing a man who goes deaf. How do you feel about non-disabled actors playing characters with disabilities?
Well, for example, in Children of Lesser God, I was a deaf person acting as a deaf person, and the role happened to be deaf. That's called authenticity, okay? Authenticity is the big word in Hollywood these days, a capital A. All these years, people really haven't realized how important it is to have an actor who happens to have a disability play a role with a disability. There's so many actors out there who, listen, all these years that we've had, I'm never going to discount a role that somebody has taken on. But I think it's time that we should look at the deaf actors, the deaf-blind actors, the disabled actors in Hollywood, in our community, who can write, who can direct, and who can act, and that we shouldn't assume disability is a costume that one puts on or takes off. So I'm really excited that a lot of people now are realizing that Hollywood is talking about that, and they're collaborating with our community, working together, and making more beautiful work because it's authentic.
So I'm glad that you feel relief, right, Marley, that you've seen some progress in Hollywood. But do you feel that there has been enough progress in terms of diversity, not only in front of the camera, but also behind the camera in Hollywood?
I mean, there's always work to do. There's always work to do. And certainly we aren't just going to sit back and stay quiet. Our community is very vocal, whether we're talking about with our voices or with our hands. There are some films, I think, that are out there that you will still see every once in a while where disability is like a costume that an actor puts on and takes off. But I think it's important to open a dialogue, to have a conversation, and do what we can to make progress. And again, if we're talking about writers, directors, whatever it may be.
Incredible. You really are not only an incredible actor, but now an executive producer, an activist. We are so appreciative of you. Thank you for coming on DBL. And also to all of our viewers, you can watch her new Oscar-nominated short film, Feeling Through, on YouTube.
It.
Yes, we highly recommend
really
it. Thank you so much, Marley.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Interest in the COVID-19 vaccine is plummeting among young people. So how does that impact our chances of stopping the spread? Let's connect the dots. At the beginning of the pandemic, Gen Z was more eager than any other age group to get the vaccine. An NBC News Morning Consult poll from March of 2020 showed only 5% of young people plan to skip their shot. Fast forward to 2021, that number has jumped to 26%. So what happened? First of all, states across the country started easing their restrictions. That meant college kids have been able to go to class, party at bars, even travel for spring break, meaning their lives are a lot closer to normal this semester. Some Gen Zers also say they're less concerned about COVID now that older people can get the vaccine. If grandma and grandpa are protected, they don't see why it's necessary for them to get the shot too, especially since symptoms are often less severe for young people. The doctors are warning that this is the wrong mentality to have. The virus can still have long-term effects on young people, and if Gen Z does not get vaccinated, we will likely never reach herd immunity. As long as the virus has someone else to infect, it will keep spreading. And that is connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. Today's Heart Threads will have you asking, what am I thankful for? Watch as a mother of 4 holds her newborn baby boy for the first time months after she gave birth following a COVID diagnosis.
After COVID forced her to give birth in a coma, this mom finally held her baby. Daisy Marcillo was hospitalized with COVID in January. She was on a ventilator and in a coma while 29 weeks pregnant. Doctors had to perform an emergency surgery C-section to save her son Ragnar. He weighed just 3 pounds, but miraculously survived. Her extended family desperately prayed for the mother of 5. Though her damaged lungs will likely need oxygen permanently, Daisy was finally cleared to go home months after contracting COVID.
I'm happy. I survived. It's a miracle.
She was able to hold her baby boy for the first time since January.
That's the first time holding my baby. It's amazing. It's amazing to be here. I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
What a beautiful story. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
watching Derrick Chauvin's murder trial, and we're getting a lot of questions. Claudia asks, is there a reason why Chauvin isn't handcuffed in court? Let's verify. Why isn't Derrick Chauvin handcuffed in court? Our sources, Minnesota state law and a legal expert. Minnesota's criminal procedure lays out the rules and rights for defendants. Rule 2603 says, During trial, the defendant must be seated to permit effective consultation with defense counsel and to see and hear the proceedings, and they must not appear in the distinctive attire of a prisoner. That's why you see Derrick Chauvin in a suit next to his lawyer, Eric Nelson. As for why he's not handcuffed, the rules say defendants must not be subjected to physical restraint while in court unless the court finds the restraint necessary to maintain order or security, and states the reason for the restraints on the record outside the hearing of the jury.
The decision not to handcuff a defendant is a standard aspect of the defendant's right to a fair trial.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
It is easier to presume someone is guilty if they are in chains or if they are in jail or prison attire. And so courts don't let those things happen.
In this case, the court hasn't ordered any restraints for Chauvin, who was released from jail last October after posting a $1 million bond.
The protection he receives is actually the same as every other murder defendant, unless they're showing that they're physically a threat in the courtroom. The judge cannot handcuff someone.
In the rare situation where a defendant is handcuffed, state law says the judge must instruct the jury that the restraint must not be considered in reaching the verdict.
What they're doing in Minnesota is standard procedure in pretty much every court in the United States.
So we can verify, Chauvin isn't wearing handcuffs in court because state law entitles him not to appear with restraints during the trial unless there's a safety concern. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Lots of comments in regard to Georgia. So Earl says corporations that care about voting rights in Georgia should give every worker a paid day off of their choice to vote. And then we have here, sports donates millions to political campaigns. So why are politicians now mad when they have political sway? That is Audrey. If you're leaving us, you can watch the second half of the show on Facebook or YouTube, chat with other viewers, leave your comments, and be part of our DBL Nation. But if you're sticking around, here's what's coming up.
I'm sticking around.
Kate Winslet is getting real about the homophobia that still exists in Hollywood. Plus, people of color win big at the Screen Actors Guild Awards. And a big thank you to our coworkers watching from home right now. We miss you all. DBL's new every day, and we will be right back.
This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam here with Jeff and Al. Erica joins us from home, so let's get started. Last night, the Screen Actors Guild Awards were handed out. Like many pandemic award shows, the nominees appeared remotely. But unlike past shows, this one was pre-taped and only 1 hour long. Still, the SAGs made history handing out the top film acting awards to people of color. Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman won for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and Daniel Kaluuya and Ewan won the, sorry, let me take that back because I want to make sure I pronounce both of these names properly.
You nailed it.
Daniel Kaluuya and Ewan won the supporting actors categories, and Catherine O'Hara, oh yeah, she became the 4th actress to sweep all 5 major TV awards in a single season with her win for playing my favorite, Moira Rose, on Schitt's Creek. Erica, what did you make about the history that took place at the SAG Awards?
Well, first, Sam, I just want to commend you because you took your time, you got those names right, and we are here for that.
Thank you.
So thank you. I also feel like this is such a wonderful time in history in general, just because we've really decided that representation matters, and the right type of representation. You know, like, we're really giving credit where credit is due based on the artistry. I know a lot of people are having conversations about the idea that it's all done via Zoom and it's virtual. Does it change the dynamics? And while I've never received an award at an award show, I have received one virtually, and I'm just going to tell you right here, right now, it's about the culmination of your work. Whether there's a million people around you or it's just you, your dog, and your husband, it means something. So I am here for it all.
Yeah, I look at this, Eric, because I know that everybody's saying that, well, people didn't watch the SAG Awards. Look, a lot of people watch award shows for different reasons. It's like if they took the Super Bowl and they cut it up where there was no, pregame, no halftime, no commercials. And so the people that will watch just the game are the Super Bowl junkies, the guys that just love football. With the SAG, this is for the movie nerds. The people are like, I'm into movies. I followed this person's career. So it's like, it's going to be down. But I think the people that watched it for the right reasons.
I like the 1 hour.
Yeah, I think people are getting, listen, this is just me. I think people are getting tired of award shows. There's too many of them, right? So they're trying to cut it down an hour to get more eyeballs on there. But I think people are tired of the pandemic as well, right? We want to get back to normal. We want to see all the celebrities together. We want to be there together. So I think people are just fatigued in general. Also, there was no Brad and Jen moment.
Do you remember last year?
Yeah, last
year.
Did we have the
picture from last year?
It wasn't about who won. It was about that moment right there.
I remember that moment. Yes, I do. All right, so also last night on American Idol, while Katy Perry was judging a contestant, she revealed that she ditched her razor since becoming a new mom. Have a look.
And as a new mother, I don't have very much time, so I've quit shaving my legs. But when you sang, the hair on my legs grew 1.5 inches. So, full body chills. Oh, wow.
Katy later poked fun at her lack of grooming by posting an animated look at her leg hair. I so can relate to this. Listen, I love me a good shower where I can scrub everything, shave everything, the whole 9 yards. But when you have no time, Al, how dare you?
I'm listening.
You have a grimace on your face.
That's just the way I look, Sam. I'm not an attractive man.
Okay, it's really hard to take a shower with 2 kids. And if it really is, it's tough to have time without one of them in the bathroom. You know, Jeff, you can't even go to the bathroom by yourself.
I show up here every day and I shave my face.
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I have 2 kids.
Okay, well, maybe you're not taking care of the kids as much as I am then, because I don't have time to regularly shave my legs, and that's a fact.
All right.
Erica?
I mean, I forget to shave my legs all the time, and we are dinks. That's
what?
dual income, no kids.
Listen, let me have a serious conversation. Take the pregnancy out of it because that's not fair. Of course you don't have to shave your legs during pregnancy. Afterwards, though, if my wife tells me, I don't want you to have a beard, I'll shave my beard. Why is it so like sexist if I'm like, listen, could you do me a favor? You got to shave your legs because I don't like it. I don't like it. One man to their wife, can I say that?
I think it's probably quicker to shave a beard.
So your answer was no.
Well, no, I don't think it's sexist because I believe in preferences. And I think it's totally fine for your wife to say, I don't like it when you have a beard, or you say, you know, I like you to look a certain way.
Not look, shave.
Okay, but it takes a long time to shave legs. It's really hard to shave legs when I have 2 kids.
What are we talking about in terms of times? Because guys don't know. So how long would you say?
To shave your legs properly? Maybe like 2 minutes.
Okay.
What?
I had your back. I thought you were going to put a 0 behind that. 2 minutes.
Dude, I don't have enough. Moms out there and a lot of dads don't have enough time to really sit down and enjoy a meal, let alone get in the shower and shave every day. I'm not saying once a week. Do you have to shave your beard every single day? Oh, you do? All right. Well, I feel Katy Perry there, 1,000%.
I think a lot of women do. That's why I was genuinely curious. I
think it just
obviously
doesn't
I've raised
become a
kids. I know how it
priority.
is. It's scary to be in the bathroom when they're not there.
No, they're there.
You bringing them in?
They follow me everywhere. Even when Mark's like, yeah, go do your thing, take a shower, they find me. They want to be around me. Jordan knows that.
But it's okay to have that conversation. Listen, if you want hairy legs and hairy everything,
I don't
you're
think
a woman,
she does.
Go for it. I don't care if you look like Sasquatch. My wife, I don't want that, right? If she doesn't want something for me, I'm going to change. I think you could have that relationship and talk about that without being labeled as sexist on national television like people are writing in right now.
I think all couples have those conversations. Maybe not everyone's as honest as you are, so thank you for your honesty. It's true.
That's not a
country singer Maren Morris is embracing her body after giving birth to her son last year. She posted this pic on Instagram, writing that she is never going to try to get her body back again. She added that she didn't lose it like a set of keys, and that the pressure on mothers to snap back is insurmountable and deeply troublesome. New mom Mandy Moore agreed. She wrote, "Snapback culture is insane. Thanks for this," in the comments.
Want me to step in it some more? I'll
please.
go for it. Listen, I think I don't know one person, again, and I'm only speaking for me, my group of friends, and I don't know anybody who puts pressure on any pregnant woman after what we, as a father, just saw them go through about losing their weight. I think a lot of women put that pressure on themselves, or society puts that pressure on them. Because as a father, there is no way I would ever tell my wife, you need to get rid of that weight. I might tell you to shave your legs because
Jeff,
I like
I'm going to say this.
Sexy time.
You have taken a lot for your stance on the dad bod whenever some story comes out where everybody's like, oh, we like dad bods better. I am telling you, I cannot speak for all men, but I will say of the many men that I've met, they do not mind a little extra weight. They don't mind. I've never sat at a bar or restaurant watching the game and somebody's like, my wife's disgusting now. I've never heard a guy say that. And I do think a lot of that, that's why the movie Mean Girls, I think, resonated so much. A lot of the pressure comes from you guys. And it's not fair, whoever it's coming from, but I don't want to speak on that, so please do.
No, I agree with the both of you. I do think that for my own partner and watching how you are with, with your children, you've only been supportive to Jordan and to other women who've been pregnant around you. I do think that society places almost like an indoctrination on women where you have your kid, you bounce back, you snap back, you gotta lose the weight, you gotta get your summer bod back. And a lot of women feel that pressure. I know I felt that pressure, especially right after I had Miles and I knew that I had to get back on air.
But where did you feel the pressure from?
I think this is an indoctrination from society. Never from my husband, never from my peers.
Not anyone personal that you know. So it's so weird how this is such a big part of society and culture.
But I think it's magazines, Barbie.
You're right, but no one in any conversation that a normal person has ever brings this up. Right? Isn't it kind of weird how it's such a big deal?
I think it's just through historically speaking, Erica. What do you make of it?
Well, yeah, there's certainly a reason why women have felt this way for so long, is because it has been constantly perpetuated by society, by who is celebrated, who's not celebrated, who's accelerated, who is decelerated. You know, there's a box, there's a template for all of it, and we're either consciously or subconsciously giving the keys to success and admiration through who we're praising and why we're praising them. Now, I don't think these are people or images that are undeserving of praise for some things, but it's like there's a hierarchy. Why does there have to be a hierarchy where this is at the top and then everyone else at the bottom are minimized? Like, it's just a spectrum to me. And I think when we're talking about pregnant women, that's when we're really trying to be a little bit more empathetic, some of us, because we understand that that's like how the world evolves, by bringing new people into it. And there's a woman who has to do that. So I think we get a little bit more sensitive, as we should, about it, but we really should kind of expand that grace and sensitivity to everyone.
Let me put a button on this for everybody. If you're a man saying this about a woman, you watch a woman give birth, and you will never, ever speak those words ever again.
Well
I
said,
watched
Jeff.
it. That was a different man.
Well said, both of you. Try doing it. Ooh!
No.
Okay,
how
so
you do it, girl.
Massimo Giannoli was released from prison early. Wow, Massimo was released ahead of his 5-month sentence in time for Easter. My goodness. Okay, so do we know, producers, what his total time served was? They're going to find out for me.
Did you watch the Netflix documentary?
Yeah, I did.
It was pretty good.
Very good.
did.
What was the name of that? I forgot. They could find that out too.
Admission scandal, college admission scandal. Yes. So you can watch a whole documentary on the college admission scandal and exactly all the different families involved, including Massimo's family, to learn more about it. I was just told by our producer he served 2 months. Do you think that's a stiff enough sentence?
2 out of 5?
Dude, the guy who started the whole thing isn't even in jail yet. So how about that?
I don't think he will be in jail because he turned everybody else in.
Erica, what do you think? Because you seem to enjoy this.
Oh, no, I was just fascinated by this documentary and how much we really kind of already knew. But I think it's the actual watching of these were actual conversations from tapped phone lines that they were just reenacting. And some of the things that were said is like, it's mind blowing.
Erica, can you tell us really
shocking,
quickly one thing that stood out to you? Can you tell us one thing from the conversation that stood out?
Well, some of the parents referring to how their children weren't that bright and they needed to do this in order to get them into college, and they didn't want them to know. Some of them, the kids were in on it, but they were having these really oh, well, she's not as smart as the older one. Yo.
It was for the parents, not for the kids.
Yes, it was definitely for the parents and their clout, which is ridiculous and shameful. But I just got a correction. He did serve nearly 5 months. The rest of his time will be at home. So there you go. Okay. I don't know where the 2 months came from.
Yeah, I read an article that said that they couldn't really tell where he was. He was kind of in a halfway house, but they didn't know where he was for these last couple of days. It's a very strange story.
Okay.
I've read up on this, and you look at me like we're talking about it, and just walk up to you at a bus stop and start talking about
him. I hope you have multiple sources to back that up.
Yeah.
So we don't.
I have several websites.
Our facts would have been a little better had I known this story was going to be in here. What's the name of that movie?
I think they just.
I know, because it's very timely. That's why we sound like idiots talking about it.
I've read, and Sam is looking at me
I would have did a little more research on it.
I just hope you have sources, is all I'm saying.
You think I'm making this up?
No, I don't think you're making it up.
I do.
Coming up on DBL, Egypt's royal history on parade. But will these mummies reignite the infamous Pharaoh's curse? Plus, Kate Winslet is shining a new light on an old problem, homophobia in Hollywood, and how it is affecting men. And our DBL staff is working hard at home during the pandemic. When COVID is behind us, we hopefully will all be reunited in the studio. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by
Cell phone.
Verify team is here to make sure you have the facts, because not everything you see online is real. A viewer named Sue sent us this email. I just received an economic impact payment card. Is this real? She wanted us to verify whether these cards are legit. Here are our sources: the IRS.
They are legit.
And Henry Grez from the American Institute of CPAs, who says yes, these cards can be trusted.
It should be in an envelope coming from the mail to you, coming from the U.S. Treasury.
Here's exactly what the envelope will look like, according to the IRS. Note the seal for the Department of Treasury, and inside you'll find a card that looks like this. And don't be alarmed by the MetaBank label in the back. This is the Treasury's financial agent, so it's supposed to be there. According to the IRS, the last day to receive payments through direct deposit was March 24th. So now they're only coming through the mail, through either checks or these debit cards.
The card makes it easy to access your money for things like groceries.
These cards can be used online and at stores. You could transfer the money to another account. It could even be cashed out at an ATM. And as for concerns that the government will be able to track your purchases, our expert says this is false.
There's going to be no tracing of what you're buying or how you're spending.
So you don't have to use it responsibly. You could use this money on whatever you want.
That's right.
So we can verify that these debit cards are real, and the IRS says they're safe and secure. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozlov.
Welcome back to DBL. Thanks to Kate Winslet, the conversation about gay actors playing straight roles is trending. Kate told the Sunday Times she knows at least 4 well-known actors who are not public about their sexuality. She claims their worry is that they will not be considered for straight roles. Kate also thinks this applies more to men in Hollywood than women. Wow. Erica, what do you think of actors hiding their sexuality? And should gay actors be able to play straight roles? Obviously they should, but what do you make of that?
Yeah, we've had this conversation, and I think it's more complex than where we're really going with it, because I think at the genesis of it, it's the idea that these roles that were specifically made for majority actors, let's say, are now. So it's basically like the need of the roles versus who wants to go for the roles. So if you're a straight actor and you're trying to go for a role, there's a million straight acting roles you can go for. But if you're a gay actor and you're going for a straight role, there is this like pressure against you. But then when you get like I was going to say something else, but when you, I've had this conversation with 3 different people, but then when you get a gay role, then it goes to a straight actor, and it's like, okay, well, you had a million different roles that you could have gone for, but now you're going to go for the only role out of like 5 out of a million that I could have gone for. So I can understand the frustration behind it, is basically what I'm saying.
I just think it's kind of ironic, because when I see Hollywood, I see very progressive, very liberal, and then you bring up this conversation, so it's kind of weird to have this. I'm all for everybody playing whatever role they are, because it's all about numbers at the box office. People don't know, but you have to invest $50 million if you're going to make a $100 million movie per se, right? So you need someone that can carry that weight to get you those ticket sales. But then we just talked to Marlee Matlin, and she's like, well, how is she supposed to play another role because she can't speak and she's deaf? So it's like, now I'm like torn, because we just talked to her and I understand where she's coming from, but I think the best actor for the role. So it is a complex conversation.
It is a complex conversation, and to your point, you did mention something that stood out to me. You mentioned how like inclusive Hollywood is. No matter how inclusive Hollywood is, they still have to abide to the rest of America, because you talked about that
the rest
number.
Of the world.
The rest of the world. And it's a shame, you know, so they might be scared, or maybe they're going off of actual data where they feel like that if we found out that Tom Cruise, and this is just me saying this, I'm not alleging anything, but if we found out that Tom Cruise is not straight, would they be fearful that most Americans or certain Americans would not go to the box office to see him play in Mission Impossible 3?
And
I would hope so. But...
He's on like 8 now, by the way.
Oh. Mission Impossible 10.
I'll say the same. You know, obviously this country has a long way to go in terms of how we view homosexuality, but we've come a long way, baby. Like Virginia Slim, I'm very proud of the progress. We have a long way to go. But the rest of the world, that is still a no-go. So if you're trying to sell movies across the world, which is how you make your money, and there are certain regions of the world where that's like that actor will not be shown, it's something to think about as an investor, and that's what causes the pushback, unfortunately.
But I think that
not saying it's right.
But of course, I think that they may be pleasantly surprised, just like they saw with Crazy Rich Asians, just like they saw with a number of different big blockbuster films that have broken through that a lot of people did not think would turn out money at the box office. We'll be right back.
We all know that.
Interest in the COVID-19 vaccine is plummeting among young people. So how does that impact our chances of stopping the spread? Let's connect the dots. At the beginning of the pandemic, Gen Z was more eager than any other age group to get the vaccine. An NBC News Morning Consult poll from March of 2020 showed only 5% of young people plan to skip their shot. Fast forward to 2021, that number has jumped to 26%. So what happened? First of all, states across the country started easing their restrictions. That meant college kids have been able to go to class, party at bars, even travel for spring break, meaning their lives are a lot closer to normal this semester. Some Gen Zers also say they're less concerned about COVID now that older people can get the vaccine. If grandma and grandpa are protected, they don't see why it's necessary for them to get the shot too, especially since symptoms are often less severe for young people. The doctors are warning that this is the wrong mentality to have. The virus can still have long-term effects on young people, and if Gen Z does not get vaccinated, we will likely never reach herd immunity. As long as the virus has someone else to infect, it will keep spreading. And that is connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. So over the weekend, Egypt held a golden parade. They moved 22 of its prized royal mummies. They went from central Cairo to their new resting place in a massive new museum. The ceremony included climate-controlled cases loaded onto trucks decorated with wings and Egyptian designs. They also had people on horseback, along with all sorts of fanfare for the royals who were originally buried 3,000 years ago. But some are worried that moving the mummies will trigger an ancient curse. The curse of the pharaohs that was written on Tutankhamun's tomb, aka King Tut. It reads, "Death will come on quick wings for those who disturb the king's peace." In fact, they're pointing to recent disasters in the area, including the ship that blocked the Suez Canal, a deadly train crash, and more as examples of the curse in action.
Was any examples that happened in Egypt?
Yeah, the Suez Canal is right there near Egypt.
It's not right. It's not in Egypt.
Yeah, but it impacted Egypt.
If the Nile River dried up, then we're talking.
Aren't bad things happening all the time?
Egyptians could.
You could associate anything that happens bad to that.
Why?
Bad things are going to happen. That's the way.
Like, for example, Erica, Sam was mean to me on the show today.
When was
so
I
then
mean
if I
to
say
you?
that I'm going to unleash a curse, and then there's a fender bender right outside the studio, I'd be like, that's the curse right there. Like, I'm not worried about this curse. Erica, talk to me.
I don't believe you.
Y'all brave.
Yeah, I'm with you,
Y'all
Erica.
brave.
Let me put this.
Y'all far more.
Hey, I didn't move the tomb.
Let me put this on you, Al.
Okay.
Erica, let's pretend Al is about to move into a new home. And he comes to us and he says, I just found out that there are a bunch of graves underneath my home, and some of the graves have curses written on them. Would you still move into that home,
Yes,
Al?
graves is better foundational support for the house.
You
I don't believe in
That's
spirits.
amazing, Al. Move into your house, none of us are going to visit. That's cool.
We'll be right back.
Spooky.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
watching Derrick Chauvin's murder trial, and we're getting a lot of questions. Claudia asks, is there a reason why Chauvin isn't handcuffed in court? Let's verify. Why isn't Derrick Chauvin handcuffed in court? Our sources, Minnesota state law and a legal expert. Minnesota's criminal procedure lays out the rules and rights for defendants. Rule 2603 says, during trial, the defendant must be seated to permit effective consultation with defense counsel and to see and hear the proceedings, and they must not appear in the distinctive attire of a prisoner. That's why you see Derrick Chauvin in a suit next to his lawyer, Eric Nelson. As for why he's not handcuffed, the rules say defendants must not be subjected to physical restraint while in court unless the court finds the restraint necessary to maintain order or security, and states the reason for the restraints on the record outside the hearing of the jury.
The decision not to handcuff a defendant is a standard aspect of the defendant's right to a fair trial.
Rachel Moran is a professor at St. Thomas Law School in Minneapolis.
It is easier to presume someone is guilty if they are in chains or if they are in jail or prison attire. And so courts don't let those things happen.
In this case, the court hasn't ordered any restraints for Chauvin, who was released from jail last October after posting a $1 million bond.
The protection he receives is actually the same as every other murder defendant, unless they're showing that they're physically a threat in the courtroom. The judge cannot handcuff someone.
In the rare situation where a defendant is handcuffed, state law says the judge must instruct the jury that the restraint must not be considered in reaching the verdict.
What they're doing in Minnesota is standard procedure in pretty much every court in the United States.
So we can verify, Chauvin isn't wearing handcuffs in court because state law entitles him not to appear with restraints during the trial unless there's a safety concern. With your Verify, I'm Gabe Cohen.
Okay, so I just received this comment on Twitter from I'm Jack's Mama. I feel you, Sam Shocker. My son has walked past his father, gone into the bathroom while I'm showering, pulled back the curtain to hand me a bag of fruit snacks for me to open for him. I know.
Fruit snacks are a parent's life.
Yep, DBL is new every day. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye, guys.
Thank you.